Beginning with a gentle golden wind and light rain, the master of ceremonies, with a single stroke, surprises the world. This video is purely for entertainment, and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting, and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 751, King Jin dies, King Yan village is destroyed. In the early morning, hundreds of warriors with weapons gathered outside the county governor's city. Some were young knights who had not been beaten by the Jianghu. At this moment, their faces looked extremely excited. Some looked lonely and lifeless, but their eyes were full of the red flame of revenge. There were also some Jianghu knights with strong blood and ki, and there were some powerful Jianghu warriors. Among them, there were two people, one of whom was wearing green clothes, with sharp eyes, holding a long knife in his hand, and exuding a strong murderous intent. This person was very young, but he already had a hint of the demeanor of master. Next to him, there was a big man who was about 30 years old. The big man's hands were different from those of ordinary people, revealing a bloody aura. I didn't expect that Jianghu casual cultivators would gather so many people. It seems that this Yanwang village has a bad reputation. The big man said. These people are not the main force. The main force depends on the people led by the Purple Shirt Palace. The young man said coldly. Don't you think highly of the Beggars sect? I don't see anyone who can be considered a warrior in the Beggars sect. The young man said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, Kyle Feng appeared outside the city gate with a surging aura. Behind him followed hundreds of people, including Zhang Liao, the 9-bag elder, and 6 8-bag elders. The Beggars sect had already developed in Chang County, and some people began to join the Beggars sect. Among them, 4 people had strengths at the 7 difficulties of heaven and man, so they became the 8-bag elders of the Beggars sect. Among them, Lu Yaowei, Jin Yuanling, and Shan Hu, with the help of resources, increased their strength by 10%. Lu Yaowei reached the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, and Jin Yuanling and others reached the 8 difficulties of heaven and man. Of course, their status in the gang did not change, and they were still 8-bag elders. These people have a foundation in martial arts. It seems that the Beggars sect is not simple. It is not the disciples we saw before who could not do martial arts. The big man looked at the hundreds of Beggars sect disciples behind Kyle Feng and said, it's not simple. The aura of the leader Kyle is too strong. I just felt it, and it made me feel oppressed. No wonder he was able to kill Li Fengmian with one blow. If I didn't die in the battle of Yanwang village, I would join the Beggars sect. Then I hope you don't die. I still want to join the Beggars sect with you. But to be honest, after the battle of Yanwang village, there will be many people who want to join the Beggars sect. Everyone, I'm the leader of the Beggars sect, Kyle Feng. I won't say much about Yanwang village. Anyway, there will be no Yanwang village after today. Kyle Feng didn't say much about righteousness, but said so. Let's go. After saying that, he led the disciples of the Beggars sect and headed towards the direction of Yanwang village. On the other side, Purple Shirt Palace gathered 5 forces around the county city. Some large forces did not respond to the hero invitation of Purple Shirt Palace and came to Purple Shirt Palace. Together, the 3 palace masters of Zishan Palace all took action and left no one to guard. There was a sense of life and death. Yanwang village, Golden Yanwang, Iron Yanwang. The 10 Yamas under his command gathered in the hall. The 10 Yamas exuded a rolling murderous aura and bloody energy. They were all unusually burly, with ferocious faces, revealing a sense of cruelty. Report. At this time, a spy appeared outside the hall. Speak. Jinyan Luo said. Grand Village Master, the Beggars sect and the Purple Shirt Palace have already set off. The Beggars sect has gathered about 500 people, and their specific strength cannot be ascertained. The 3 palace masters of the Purple Shirt Palace have all been dispatched, and there are about 600 people from the Iron Knife Gate, Qingwiwu Hall, Bian Hall, Purple Spring Gate, and Taishan Hall gathered outside the county city. It seems that there are still people who know the time. Let's go to the gate of the village and see how they open the gate of my King of Hell village. Jinyan Wang said with a smile. Time passed. He appeared at the gate of King of Hell village in a mighty manner. At this moment, there are still some people in the dark. If the Beggars sect and the Purple Shirt Palace win, they will go up to help or plunder some of the things in the Yanluo village. If they are at a disadvantage, they will watch the battle and not participate. The one walking in the front is Kao Feng. Kao Feng looked at the Jingwen formed by the heads in front of him, his eyes condensed, and he raised his palm. The terrifying energy burst out from his palm, and the Jingwen exploded. Do you dare to fight, Jin Yan Wang? Kao Feng looked up at Jin Yan Wang standing at the entrance of Yan Wang village. Kill. Jin Yan Wang did not reply, but raised his hand. In an instant, 100 archers appeared in Yan Wang village. Swish. Hundreds of arrows shot at Kao Feng in an instant. Seeing this, Kao Feng burst out with divine power and a golden aura soared into the sky. Under this aura, the flying arrows seemed to stop instantly. With a grab of his palm, the arrows were caught in the center of his palm and instantly reflected back. Ah. In an instant, all the hundreds of people who shot arrows were hit by arrows. Flying dragon in the sky. Kao Feng then slapped out with his palm, and a golden dragon shadow flew out instantly, hitting the gate of the King of Hell village. And his figure flew into the sky, and he attacked the golden King of Hell with a palm, looking for death. The golden King of Hell's face suddenly turned red, and a burst of blood burst out of his body. Divine power, Mitherworld blood prison. A blood-colored long knife appeared in his hand. His figure also rushed out violently. Kao Feng's divine power was very strong, and he had to stop Kao Feng, otherwise, the others in the village would not be able to kill the people outside. Kill. The golden King of Hell fought with Kao Feng, and Purple Shirt Palace, Liu Yun, her figure flew into the air, and her palm was raised. After Kao Feng, she was the strongest, and at this moment she had to lead people to rush into the King of Hell village. The terrifying cold air burst out in her palm, and the surrounding air instantly became cold and gloomy. The moment the Purple Shirt Palace master took action, Su Li and Xian Shan also rushed to the King of Hell village. Kill. Followed by more than 1,000 people, they rushed into the King of Hell village. Kill. Many people rushed out of the King of Hell village. For a moment, the sound of killing shook the sky, and blood spread throughout the King of Hell village. Kao Feng, you are looking for death. Looking at the situation in the King of Hell village, the King of Hell looked gloomy. Blood was flowing on his body, and the blood energy around him matched his divine power. The whole person was like an evil ghost in the netherworld, and the terrifying aura shattered the surrounding air. 13 slashes of the netherworld. The first slash. In an instant, the long sword in the King of Hell's hand slashed out. Boom. Kao Feng raised his palm, and a golden dragon shadow rushed into the sky and collided with the slash sword light. Boom. The blood-colored long sword instantly disintegrated under the impact of the golden dragon. Seeing this scene, the King of Hell's face changed, his eyes roared, and the blood energy in his body continued to burst out. The long sword in his palm quickly slashed out the second and third swords. In an instant, the terrifying sword energy spread out and slashed towards Kao Feng. The power of each sword was twice as strong as the previous one. Of course, when performing this kind of skill, Jin Yan Wang's true energy is consumed very quickly. Not a bad swordsmanship. What a pity. Kao Feng formed claws, and the golden true energy condensed into dragon claws in his palms. Dragon claws are not a very famous skill, but this simple skill bursts out with different power in Kao Feng's hands. Kao Feng has a deep understanding of martial arts. He was just not strong enough before, but with Zhao Yuanshan's skills, his own strength has reached the top level of sea concentration, and there is a vague tendency to break. But he didn't dare to try that step. Because the matter of Shineman has been reported to Su Chen, he is still settling down. The dragon claw collided with the knife light and shattered it, and moved his body, and went towards Jin Yan Wang. Jin Yan Wang's face changed. He didn't expect that his move didn't cause any trouble to Kao Feng. Puff, spurted a mouthful of blood on the long sword. Then he slashed again. The blood-colored knife light cut through the void, and appeared in front of Kao Feng. Kao Feng clenched his palm into a fist and punched out. His fist collided with the long sword. Bang. King Jin was knocked back by a terrifying force. Dragon catching hand. Just as his body was knocked back, Kao Feng opened his palm and grabbed the other's body back. You. King Jin's face changed. His body was caught in Kao Feng's hand. Bang. His palm hit the other's chest. King Jin was knocked back and fell to the ground like a falling kite, with dust flying. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted out. I'll send you to death. Qiao Feng moved his body, ready to send King Jin to death. Kill me, you still can't kill me. Blood sacrifice. King Jin made seals with his hands, and the terrifying blood on the ground formed a bloodstream and rushed towards King Jin, and his originally injured body began to recover. I didn't dare to use this technique, but you forced me to use it. With so many people fighting, there is enough blood and energy. I want to kill you. As these blood-colored energies went towards his body, blood-colored runes appeared on his cheeks, which were extremely strange. Under the effect of these runes, the surrounding blood and energy rushed into his body crazily. The body of the Golden Hades assassin was like a whirlpool, swallowing up these blood and energy. As the blood and energy appeared, his strength rose crazily. Divine power, Netherworld blood prison. The Golden Hades divine power burst out again. Rich blood and energy spread. Qiao Feng's eyes condensed. He had seen the blood sacrifice technique before. He had obtained the blood sacrifice technique on Li Fengmian and was about to send it to Su Chen. Divine power, 18 dragon shadows. 18 dragon shadows spread in the golden energy. It exuded supreme majesty. Blood dragon slash. At this time, the Golden Hades roared. His arm became a knife, and he slashed it out, slashing towards Qiao Feng. 18 dragon palms. Qiao Feng shouted in a low voice and slapped his palm. 18 dragon shadows rushed out in an instant and collided with the blood knife. Boom. The two forces collided. The blood-colored knife light was shattered and hit the body of King Jinyan. King Jinyan was still absorbing blood energy, but the blood energy was obviously paused at the moment of the collision. At this time, Qiao Feng flashed. He appeared in front of the opponent in an instant. His palm became a claw, and he grabbed the opponent's head with one claw, and the terrifying energy burst out from his palm. Swish. The powerful energy directly took off the opponent's head. The half-body without the head fell to the ground. Bang. Then, as if unable to withstand the blood energy in the body, with a bang, the whole person turned into a ball of blood mist. Run. Seeing this situation, the people in Yanwang village shouted in fear. But at this time, many people appeared outside Yanwang village and they also rushed into Yanwang village. They didn't give the people in Yanwang village a chance to escape. Chapter 752, Blood Demon Seed, 5 Beggars Sect Leaders, and the Rise of the Beggars Sect. In a remote courtyard in Chang County, a graceful figure entered and pushed open a door in the middle of the courtyard. Saintis, King Jinyan is dead, killed by Qiao Feng of the Beggars Sect. The figure saluted to a purple-clothed woman in the house. If Su Chen were here, he would be surprised. The woman who appeared was Zihanayu, the Saintess of Hanayu sect. You said King Jinyan was killed by Qiao Feng. Didn't he use the blood sacrifice technique? Zihanayu asked in a deep voice. He did, but Qiao Feng's divine power was too strong. King Jinyan was no match for him. The gap in strength between King Jinyan and him was huge. And King Jinyan had been restraining himself from practicing the blood sacrifice technique before and had not yet fully mastered the power of the blood sacrifice technique. The person who came said in a deep voice, "Where is the human skin of the blood sacrifice technique now?" Zihanayu asked. It was obtained by Qiao Feng. If Qiao Feng practices, Saint, do you think he will be better than the Golden King of Hell? The visitor said, Qiao Feng's practice is magnificent. Judging from the characteristics of this practice, he will not practice the blood sacrifice technique. It's okay if he doesn't practice it, but I'm afraid he will destroy it directly. It seems that the plan will fail this time. Originally, I thought that the Li family would get it. The 36 aliens under the Li family have always been bloodthirsty. Some people will definitely not be able to resist the temptation of the blood sacrifice technique and practice it so that they can increase more blood demon seeds. But now it is in Qiao Feng's hands. If you want to send it to the Li family will be suspicious. Zihanayu frowned and said, Saint, what about Qiao Feng? Hearing this, Zihanayu fell into deep thought. Don't do anything for now, to avoid any accidents. We came to Jiangnan secretly, and we can't expose it. Otherwise, if Zhu Pingsheng knows that we have taken action in private, I'm afraid he will purge a Hanayu sect again. Zihan Yu said in a deep voice. Saint, now that Emperor Zhao is seriously injured, our Hanyu sect is fully capable of escaping from Zhu Pingsheng's control. Why should we obey his orders again? The visitor said. Emperor Zhao is injured, but Zhu Pingsheng is not. Zhu Pingsheng is ruthless. For the time being, we can't directly disobey his orders. Notify people to evacuate Chang County first. Zihan Yu shook her head. Yes. The visitor bowed and left the room. Emperor Zhao is seriously injured, and the forces in the martial arts world are rising frequently. I don't know if our Hanyu sect can rise again in this wave, Zihan Yu muttered to herself. Then he came to the table. There were 3 book stickers on the table. He picked up the middle one and opened it. The name on the first page was written as Jin Yan Wang. The energy in his palm burst out and shattered it. Something happened to King Yan. One of the 3 original blood demon seeds is missing. It seems that we have to choose someone else. Zihan Yu picked up the 2 book stickers, put them in her arms, and turned to leave. King Yan was dead, and she didn't need to stay in Chang County. On the other side, the gate of the Yanwang village treasure house, Lu Yaohui was guarding with 2 8-bag elders of the beggar gang and dozens of beggar gang disciples. Elder Lu, what do you mean by this? Liu Yun looked at Lu Yaohui and said. At this moment, Liu Yun was covered in blood, and Xian Shan behind her had a broken arm. It can be seen that the battle in Yanwang village just now was still very fierce. Palace Master Liu, the secret book in the treasure house is a unique copy, and anyone can copy it at will, but the original copy is taken away by our beggar gang. We beggar gang will take half of the treasure. The rest of you will share it equally, Lu Yaohui said. After hearing Lu Yaohui's words, Liu Yun didn't say anything. The success of the attack on Yanwang village this time was mainly due to Cao Feng killing King Yan. If King Yan didn't die, they couldn't capture Yanwang village at all. Giving half of the profit from what they had taken was already quite good. Arrange it according to Elder Lu's wishes. Liu Yun nodded. Then she asked her junior sister Suli to hand over to Lu Yaohui. She also had to go see Cao Feng. In the hall of the Hell King village, Cao Feng was standing in the hall. Liu Yun, dressed in green, stepped in. Palace Master Liu. Cao Feng saw the other party nodded slightly. I wonder what Master Cao thinks of this Hell King village? This is the intersection of 3 counties, and the benefits are huge. If we don't manage it, there will be a second Hell King village. My beggars gang is going to build a branch here, Cao Feng said. The Hell King village is supported by the Lai family, and it has created a lot of benefits for the Lai family. If a beggars gang branch is established here, I'm afraid the beggars gang will have a direct conflict with the Lai family. I wonder if Master Cao is ready. Liu Yun looked at Cao Feng and said. She came to see Cao Feng, mainly to understand the beggars gang's thoughts. If the beggars gang continues to hide, then they, Purple Shirt Palace, will be in the open, and the Lai family will be the first to deal with them. If I kill Lai Yinsong, I will have no way out. Moreover, my beggars sect is not just about me, Cao Feng. Cao Feng said coldly. Hearing Cao Feng's words, Liu Yun's expression slightly changed. Master Cao, I, Purple Shirt Palace, am willing to become a subsidiary force of the beggars sect, and follow the lead of the beggars sect in the future, Liu Yun said, after thinking for a moment. Purple Shirt Palace now has no way out, as long as it chooses to rely on the beggars sect. Cao Feng just made it clear that the beggars sect is not just about him, which means there are other powerful gods. Purple Shirt Palace can only rely on the beggars sect to resist the Lai family. Master Liu, you made the right decision. Cao Feng looked at Liu Yun and said, now that the beggars sect is still a little late, Purple Shirt Palace takes the lead in relying on beggars sect. Chang County can be considered to be completely taken over. At this time, another place on a large and gorgeous carriage. Su Chen was half lying on the couch in the carriage. Zuangji and Medi Zuanshan were also in the carriage. The driver was Yuan Suan after disguising himself. They were on their way to the Holy Sword Lake. The Holy Sword Lake was about to open, and many people were already heading for it. Cao Feng took down the King of Hell Village, subdued the Purple Shirt Palace, and controlled the Jiangnan Chang County Jianghu, and was rewarded with 2 orange lottery cards. Su Chen, who was half lying, opened his eyes. He didn't expect Cao Feng to take down the king of Hell Village, subdue the Purple Shirt Palace of Chang County, and control the Jiangnan Chang County. Although Chang County is a low-ranking county in Jiangnan, it can be said that taking down a county in Jiangnan, where the forces are complicated, is quite amazing. Now he has 17 orange lottery cards. Draw 5 first, and see how lucky you are. Get the character Han Kigang, get the character Shang Quniang, the character Bi Ling Su, the character Bi Daofen, the character Bi Qingshan. Su Chen was a little confused when he saw this. Among them, Han Kigan was the most familiar to him, and he was really unfamiliar with the other 4, but the last 3 all had the surname B, and he didn't know what the relationship was. He started to investigate immediately. Han Kigang, a character in the Legend of the Condor Heroes, one of the 5 greatest masters in the world, skilled in the 18 dragon subduing palms and the dog beating stick. Because he cut off his right index finger, he is also called the 9-fingered divine beggar, the leader of the beggars sect in the Legend of the Condor Heroes. He is righteous and resourceful, and greedy by nature. He once made a mistake due to his greed, and his strength was concentrated in the sea, but there was no note of breaking. Shang Quniang, a character in Liang Yashan's novel The Crazy Hero, The Proud Witch, and also the leader of the beggars sect. He is good at martial arts, the Panlong Heart Sutra, the 18 magic sealing sticks, the dragon subduing palms, and his strength is the Danshan transformation C. As for the last 3, they are also the leaders of the beggars sect, and they are also characters in Liang Yashan's novels, and the leaders of the beggars sect for 3 generations. Bi Ling Su, a character in the novels Returning the Sword and Ping Zhang Zhang Lu, the leader of the beggars sect, the beggar among the 3 monks, beggars, and Taoists, good at martial arts, dragon subduing palm, hidden dragon protecting treasure circling 18 sticks, entangled 18 sticks, Shaoyang Zuangong. His strength is as strong as the sea of concentration. Bi Daofen, the son of Bi Ling Su, nicknamed Shock the 3 Realms, a big shot in the green forest, the leader of the beggars sect, and his strength is close to the sea of concentration. Bi Qingshan, the son of Bi Daofen, but his strength is the same as his father, and his strength is close to the sea of concentration. He is the main character in Liang Yashan's novel Sanhua Nuxia, not only the leader of the beggars sect, but also the leader of the Northern Wulin. 5 beggars sect leaders came at once. 2 are close to the sea of concentration, which means that, if they are given a certain amount of resources, they can take that step. Now that the elders of the beggars sect have come out, the strength of Cao Feng's beggars sect has also increased greatly. Su Chen thought to himself. Chapter 753, The Man in White from the East Sea, Loyang Escort Agency, Holy Sword Lake, Sword Box. Of course, the specific arrangements were still decided by Cao Feng, who was now the leader of the beggars sect. I'm lucky this time, I can do 5 more shots. Su Chen thought to himself. What happened to Su Xiaolangshao? He must be secretly happy. Mei Zuanshang said, looking at Su Chen with a smile on his face. Is there? Su Chen looked at Mei Zuanshang and said. Mei Zuanshang may have dressed up recently, because of Zuang's existence. She had jade-like bones and charming eyebrows. She used to wear a black outfit. During this period of time, she actually changed to wearing a white dress, and her fair skin and proud figure were accidentally exposed from time to time. The change between pure and lustful women was enough to compete with Zuangji and Su Chen's eyes. Su Chen was a little confused as to why Mei Zuanshang did not enter the heavenly immortal list. It's all engraved on her face. Mei Zuanshang said. Really? There is indeed good news. Su Chen looked at Mei Zuanshang and scanned her body. With a beauty in front of me, how can I not be happy? Su Chen said with a smile. Really? You weren't staring at me just now. Mei Zuanshang rolled her eyes at Su Chen. On the other side, Zuang's eyes flashed with a strange color. In her eyes, Su Chen likes quietness. When he is quiet, he is like a scholar. When he is doing things, he is cold, ruthless, decisive, and a hero. But this time, when Mei Zuanshang was here, Su Chen was a different kind, a little lazy and a gangster. These changes in temperament do not seem inconsistent at all. It makes people a little fascinated. It seems that I have to keep an eye on you. Zuangji, where is our next stop? Have we left Jinling County? Su Chen said to Zhuang Zuanji. Zhuang Zuanji was dressed in purple before, and now she is dressed in white, holding a book in her hand, a bit like a lady from an aristocratic family. Women are changeable. Sometimes it's not just their thoughts, but also their temperaments. We are now at the border of Jinling County. In half an hour, we will reach Quanzhou City in Luoyang County. After passing Quanzhou City, we will reach Luoyang City, the county seat of Luoyang County. The Holy Sword Lake is just outside Luoyang City. Zhuang Zuanji said. We can still rest for a while. Su Chen closed his eyes and lay down. He had to continue drawing. He drew 5 again. Gain 3 years of inner strength of the heavenly realm. Gain a quarter of an hour of sword enlightenment. Obtain the precious medicine, Mist Shadow Jade Lotus. Obtain 2 drops of Ice Phoenix blood. And obtain a large bottle of heavenly pills. 100 pills / bottle. What the hell is 3 years of inner strength of the heavenly realm? Can it be less? Su Chen couldn't help but complain in his heart. Check other things. Mist Shadow Jade Lotus is 900 years old. Growing on the top of a snowy mountain covered by white fog all year round, it can be used as medicine to nourish yin and yang, calm the mind and nourish ki, and is effective for those whose divine power is damaged, or who have internal injuries, or who have gone astray in their practice. Ice Phoenix Blood Essence, exclusive character item. The Grand Palace Master of Yehua Palace Yaoyu and the Second Palace Master Liangxing can increase the practice of Mingyu Gong. It seems that apart from the Ice Phoenix Blood Essence, there is nothing else useful. After a look, there are still 7 orange lottery cards. Su Chen decided to draw 3 more. Get the exclusive skill infusion card of Liu Sheng Yijian, the white clothed man in the East China Sea Hu Yan Azang. Get a large bottle of Shan Randan, and get 10 flesh body elixir Kyanjin Zhuang Gudan. This, Su Chen sighed in his heart. The white clothed man in the East China Sea Hu Yan Dazang. Su Chen knew that he was a character in Gulong's novel, Huan Hua Zijian Lu, the only successor of the Yan school, with a cold appearance and extremely strong strength. When he first came out of the martial arts world, he lost to the Ziyi Hao, the highest martial arts in the martial arts world at that time, by half a move. It was like a life and death fight. Ziyi Hao died, and then he was born again. His swordsmanship was superb. In the end, he was defeated and died in Fang Bao's hands. He was an absolute swordsman. Liu Sheng obtained the power of the white clothed man from the East China Sea with 1 sword, and his swordsmanship is even stronger. He may become the top sea concentrated strongman. He is qualified to become one of the 10 great sword masters of the Qinglan Club. However, the other 2 things. Su Chen could only shake his head, opened his eyes, and looked at Mei Zuanshan with a hint of resentment. Women really do affect luck sometimes. Mei Zuanshan sensed Su Chen's gaze, and the resentful look made Mei Zuanshan's heart inexplicably startled. She didn't know why Su Chen looked at her like that. Da da da. At this time, the sound of hurried horse hooves sounded behind their carriage. The sound of horse hooves was hurried, and when passing by Su Chen's carriage, the curtain of their carriage was lifted. Su Chen looked up and saw 5 people galloping on horses. These 5 people carried 5 flags behind them, and the flags were engraved with the word Luo. Whose forces are these people from? Su Chen said. Master, those are the people from the Luoyang escort agency in Luoyang City, Luoyang County. They are carrying the 5 color flags behind them. It seems that something big has happened to the Luoyang escort agency. Zhuang Zuanji said. Luoyang escort agency? Su Chen still has some impression of this Luoyang escort agency. Luoyang County is next to Jinling County. Although it is not as good as Jinling County, it is also a big county in the Jiangnan region. There are 2 major forces in Luoyang County. One is the Luoyang Escort Agency, which is headquartered in the county city of Luoyang. The other force is Xianzhen Palace, one of the 3 palaces in the Jiangnan region. The sect is in another place, Linan City. The Luoyang Escort Agency is not defined as a Jianghu sect, but its strength should not be underestimated. There are many wealthy businessmen in the Jiangnan region. Being able to escort here represents its strength. With the opening of the Holy Sword Lake, many forces have come to Luoyang. It is normal for something big to happen. Su Chen has no intersection with the Luoyang Escort Agency, so he is not very interested. The carriage continued to drive. Half an hour later, Su Chen and his team arrived at a prosperous city and found a restaurant. Su Chen and his team walked into the restaurant wearing bamboo hats. You heard that the Loyang escort agency failed to deliver the dart this time. The sword box that Master Qin made for Holy Sword Lake was lost, and the people who transported the darts were all dead. As soon as he entered the restaurant, he heard some people in the restaurant talking. These people put knives and long swords on the table. They were a group of martial artists with some cultivation. The sword box was made by Master Qin for Holy Sword Lake for 10 years. If it is lost, the reputation of Loyang Escort Agency may be ruined. Not only the reputation, but also the huge compensation. If Loyang Escort Agency can't find the sword box, I'm afraid it will be difficult in the future. Some people said. Master Qin, Holy Sword Lake, sword box. Su Chen's heart moved slightly. The status of Holy Sword Lake in Jiangnan is not ordinary. When the martial artists in Jiangnan were ranked, they didn't put it among them. That's because the reputation of Holy Sword Lake is not limited to the Jiangnan area. Master Qin, Su Chen knew him. He was one of the 5 great swordsmiths of the Great Zhao dynasty. How could the sword box that he spent 10 years refining for the Holy Sword Lake be an ordinary thing? Sir. While Su Chen was thinking, a waiter ran over. Give us 4 upper rooms, and a private room, and a table of good food. It's on the 2nd floor. My young master likes to listen to interesting stories. This is the reward silver. Zhuangji handed a silver ingot to the waiter. Thank you, sir. Please follow me. I will definitely choose the best room for you. The waiter seemed a little excited. The other party was too generous. He immediately led people to the 2nd floor and chose a private room where he could hear the conversation downstairs. Sir, this is the best tea in our restaurant. Drink it first. I will prepare the food for you right away. The waiter thought about pouring tea for Su Chen. You go down first. I'll do it. Yuan Suan said. Okay. After that, he left the room and closed the door. I'm somewhat interested in that sword box. Let's go investigate it. Su Chen said to Yuan Suan after sitting down. Chapter 754. Blood fills the West Tower. Xiao Lixu, son of the Swordmaster, Lu Kunlun. At this moment, in a wing room in the backyard of the inn, a man in his 40s, wearing a purple-black robe, was holding 2 huge iron gauls in his hands, squeezing them constantly. There was a constant collision of true ki between the 2 iron gauls, making crackling sounds. The man's face was gloomy, and he exuded a domineering aura. In front of him, a man in black was standing with his back bent. Third boss, the General Escort Agency has issued the 5-color flag, asking the local escorts to investigate, but no useful information has been sent back for the time being. The escort agency issued the 5-color flag, just as a statement to the outside world. The important thing is our side. The dart was lost on the way from Quanzhou to Loyang. According to the second boss's guess, the sword box should be in Quanzhou City. What we have to do now is to keep an eye on Quanzhou City and wait for the second boss to come. The man who spoke had a gloomy look. He was responsible for the failure of this escort. Because he was responsible for this escort, he was Qin Meng, the third boss of the Loyang Escort Agency. Loyang Escort Agency has 5 big bosses. The big boss Sima Hentian, the second boss Xiao Lixu, the third boss Qin Meng, the fourth boss Tang Lai, and the fifth boss Zhu Xianlei. The sword box that Holy Sword Lake wants is extraordinary, and there must be someone in the world who will take risks to get it. So this time they escorted the sword box. On the surface, he took a fake sword box to Holy Sword Lake, and secretly another group of people followed with a real sword box. They set off together. Qin Meng was not attacked, but the people who were escorting in secret were in trouble, and the other party was very fast, and all the people in the secret escort were killed in a blink of an eye. He got the news here, and when he arrived, there were no survivors, and no useful information was found. He immediately informed the escort agency of this matter, but when he notified the escort agency, the news that the sword box was lost had already fermented in Loyang County. Calculation. At this moment they knew that they were calculated. According to reason, after obtaining the sword box, they should have hidden it, instead of publicizing it so much. because this would offend them. Luoyang Big Escort Agency and Holy Sword Lake. The things of Holy Sword Lake were lost, and Holy Sword Lake would definitely not ignore it. Because robbing things from Holy Sword Lake means challenging the majesty of Holy Sword Lake. So the matter is not simple. Luoyang Escort Agency. Second in command Zhao Lixu is already on his way. Second in command's guess, the sword box is in Quanzhou City? Hearing this, the man in black said with some doubt. We just need to follow orders. If this matter is not handled well, the century-old reputation of Luoyang Escort Agency may be ruined. You go and get the news first, and collect any news. King Meng said. Yes. The man in black bowed and left the room. After the man in black left, a big man in tight clothes came out from the back. Brother, why don't we just seal off the entire Quanzhou City? This strong man is Zhu Xianlui, the 5th in command of the Luoyang Escort Agency. Seal it off. Now the younger generations of the major forces in the Jianghu are heading towards the Holy Sword Lake. If we seal off the entire Quanzhou City, these people will not give us the Luoyang Escort Agency face. If we don't handle it well, a conflict may break out. At that time, we will be attacked from all sides. King Meng shook his head. The opponent has many calculations. As long as we don't move for the time being, it won't have much impact on our Luoyang Escort Agency. Everything will wait for the second brother to come. Brother, Lu Kunlun, the son of the Sword Master of the Holy Sword Lake, followed the second brother. I'm afraid it's not a good thing. Zhu Xianlui said. This person is very domineering, but it is rumored that the sword box refined by Master Qin was refined for him, so it's normal for him to come. Zhu Meng frowned slightly. All the branches of the Luoyang Escort Agency have already started, and I have also asked people to inquire. You secretly investigate according to the instructions given by my second brother, and do everything to find the whereabouts of the person who stole the sword box. King Meng said. Okay, I'll go investigate first. After saying that, he left from the dark. King Meng, who was holding his iron courage, sat back on the bench with a gloomy face. He was thinking. Here, Su Qin and Zhuangji took off their hats, ate delicious food, drank fine wine, and listened to the conversation below. After a while, Yuan Suan returned to the room. Master, I have found some information. The place where the Luoyang Escort Agency lost the dart is between Quanzhou and Luoyang. Zhao Lixu, the second in command of the Luoyang Escort Agency, and Lu Kunlun, the son of the Sword Master of Holy Sword Lake, are on their way. It is rumored that the lost sword box was specially cast by Master Qin for Lu Kunlun. Yuan Suan said. They all came to Quanzhou. Could it be that the sword box is in Quanzhou? It seems that we are not in a hurry to go to Holy Sword Lake. Su Chen moved slightly when he heard this. The sword box was made by Master Qin, the sword forger, who spent 10 years. I think it is not an ordinary item. Eat something first, and then find out the specific effect of the sword box later. What level? Su Chen said to Yuan Suan. It seems that Su Xiaolang is interested in the sword box. Many Zuanshang said. I guess it's not just me who is interested, but many people are interested. Su Chen said softly. The martial arts world is like this. When a treasure appears, who doesn't want to fight for it? If you don't fight for it, is it still called the martial arts world? Holy Sword Lake is not simple. It is stronger than the 4 major families. The sword master of this generation practices the sword art of attack. Before Emperor Zhao conquered the world, he was known as the sword god of killing in the martial arts world. Later, when Emperor Zhao fought for hegemony, the sword master of Holy Sword Lake hid and has never made a move until now. Many Zuanshang said. I don't know how strong their swordsmanship is in Holy Sword Lake, but I, King Lan Club, have 10 sword masters, and their swordsmanship is not inferior to anyone. Su Chen said softly. 10 sword masters. Upon hearing this, Zhuangji and many Zuanshang were both shocked. They knew that there would be 3 great sword masters in the King Lan Club, but they didn't know that the King Lan Club had 10 sword masters. Zemin Shuksu, Yi Guchen, and Yan Shizhen, they are 3 of the 10 sword masters. A sword master must have the strength to concentrate the mind in the sea. Zhao Qiu Yushu and Liu Sheng Yijian, who appeared previously in the King Lan Club received the skills passed down by the previous sword master and became the new sword master. Chen said. Liu Sheng obtained the power of the white-clothed man in the East China Sea with one sword and became a top-notch sea concentrated strongman. It is no problem to be promoted to one of the 10 great sword masters. Xiaoqiu also stepped into the sea to concentrate his mind. He was the #1 swordsman in Wenshu. His amazing sword killed 2 great concentration masters under the Ministry of Personnel Shandingong, and he could become one of the 10 great sword masters. In this way, there are 5 of the 10 great sword masters of the King Lan Club. Hearing Su Chen's words, Zhuang Zuanji and many Zuanshan were shocked. King Lan Club is quite strong, and the 2 of them got the power of the previous sword master and became one of the 10 great sword masters. This is not clear. Did the previous sword master die, or did he enter the heavenly gate? Just when the 2 were silent, a carriage appeared outside the restaurant. 2 figures walked down from the carriage. A middle-aged man in purple clothes. The man had a handsome face without any reverie and a pair of eyes like gems in the deep sea. This is a man that countless young women or girls would fall in love with. Xiaoqiu, the second in command of the Luoyang escort agency. Next to him was a young man holding a long sword. The young man was handsome, but compared to Xiaoqiu in front, he was much weaker, and he exuded an extremely sharp sword intent. Lu Kunlun, the son of the sword master of the Holy Sword Lake, and the appearance of these 2 people, the whole restaurant was in an uproar. Su Chen sensed the atmosphere outside, stood up and looked towards the door of the inn. Xiaoqiu of the Bloodman West building, Lu Kunlun, the son of the sword master of the Holy Sword Lake, they are here, and they are still in this inn. Zhuang Zuanji said as she stood up. Interesting. Su Chen smiled. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 755, The Mastermind, The Ambition of Shanshan Palace. Once these 2 people arrived, it means that the sword box is really in Quanzhou. Xiaoqiu, the second in command of Luoyang Escort Agency, is not only powerful, but also has unparalleled calculations and ruthless means. He is the person in charge of external affairs in Luoyang Escort Agency. A person's reputation is like a tree's shadow. Xiaoqiu would not appear here for no reason. Xiaoqiu and his friends did not stay in the lobby, but were led by the waiter into the backyard. It seems that the room was booked in advance. Backyard Qin Meng already knew that Xiaoqiu and Lu Kunlun were coming, and took the 2 into an independent courtyard in the backyard. Third in command, I wonder if there is any news about the sword box. Lu Kunlun entered the house and spoke first. Not yet. Qin Meng shook his head. Not yet. Hearing this, Lu Kunlun frowned slightly. We will give Mr. Lu an explanation as soon as possible about this matter. Mr. Lu is a little tired from the journey, so take a rest first. Xiaoqiu, who was standing aside, spoke. Then I'll wait for the 2 heads' reply. Seeing Xiaoqiu speak, Lu Kunlun nodded and left the room. He did not plan to live with them. Second brother, is it only Mr. Lu who came to Holy Sword Lake? Qin Meng frowned. Maybe not one person, maybe only him. Xiaoqiu said softly. There was no anxiety in his eyebrows. Second brother, you are still so calm. Someone is targeting us in this matter. I don't know who is targeting us. Qin Meng said. I'm here. They will show up. Xiaoqiu said softly. Second brother, what do you mean? They will show up. Do you know where the sword box is? Qin Meng did not understand Xiaoqiu's words for a while. Don't know where it is. But we will know soon. I was not completely sure before, but now it is certain. Xiaoqiu showed a smile on his face. I haven't eaten well on the way here. Prepare some good wine and food for me. Xiaoqiu ordered Qin Meng. Second brother, you have been playing dumb. Qin Meng looked at Xiaoqiu and could only prepare food for him first. At this time, in another courtyard, Lu Kunlun walked into the courtyard and pushed open the door. Inside the door, a man in black was standing in the dark of the room. Lu Kunlun looked at the man in black and said, where is my sword box now? The sword box is in a safe place in the city, Master Lu. As long as you help us finish the business, the sword box will definitely be delivered to Master Lu. The man in black had a hoarse voice. He called Lu Kunlun Master Lu and talked about the sword box. Xiaolixu predicted that the sword box was in Quanzhou and came here in person. You have achieved your goal. As long as you kill Xiaolixu, you can take down Luoyang Escort Agency. When are you going to start? Lu Kunlun said. Xiaolixu is not so easy to deal with. Over the years, many people have tried to kill him, but all those who killed him are dead, and he is still alive and well. The man in black said. Can't we kill him head on? This is just an ordinary inn. He doesn't have much to rely on. Lu Kunlun said in a deep voice. If we attack him head on, he will die, but we have to surround him. You mean, this Xiaolixu is not real? I have been following him. He is definitely a real person. Lu Kunlun said confidently. I will report to the master. Don't disturb Mr. Lu's rest for now. I will come to find Mr. Lu again. The black-clothed man in the room flashed and left quickly. Looking at the black-clothed man leaving, Lu Kunlun frowned slightly. He didn't care about the grudge between the black-clothed man and the Luoyang Escort Agency. He cared about the sword box. The sword box is a treasure close to the level of spiritual weapon. As long as the 7 swords are placed in the sword box and nourished with their own sword intent for a period of time, they can communicate with the 7 swords. At that time, he will be able to practice the 7 stars and sun sword art. This is also the reason why he received the other party's message and followed Xiaolixu here. Quanzhou City because of the arrival of Xiaolixu and Lu Kunlun. Some Jianghu people stayed in Quanzhou, which made it more lively for a while. Of course, these people were also planning to get the sword box. Chen and his team also stayed in Quanzhou, in a Taoist temple in the city, where there were not many people. The man in black who had contact with Lu Kunlun before walked into a wing room in the backyard of the Taoist temple. There were 4 people in the wing room. One was an old man in grey clothes, with narrowed eyes and a gloomy look on his body. On the left was a strong man in brocade clothes, with blood-colored palms and a blood-colored rune between his eyebrows. On the right stood a bald man with a cold face and cold light in his eyes from time to time. There was also a young man in white clothes. The young man was sitting upright with cold eyes, and a black sword box was placed next to him. Are Lu Kunlun and Xiaolixu here? The one who spoke was the young man in white clothes with cold eyes. Yes, young palace master, they are all here. Lu Kunlun also asked us when we will start. From his tone, he should know that I'm from Chen Palace, the man in black said. The young man in white looked at the sword case. His palm fell on it, and a sword spirit emerged. The sword spirit merged into the sword case, and the sword case was slightly turbulent. He said, he will see the sword case, but when he sees it, he will use his blood to infuse it on my sword case, so that his blood can help increase the power of the sword case. The young man's tone was cold and chilling. What does it matter if we know it? What he wants now is the sword box. Without it, he can't practice the 7-star sword art. If he can't practice the 7-star sword art, he won't be absolutely sure to defeat us, and he can't be the first swordsman again, and thus can't become the next sword master of Holy Sword Lake. Give this thing to Lu Kunlun, and let him find a way to sprinkle it on Xiaolixu. After this is done, let him come to the Taoist temple to get the sword box. The young man took out a small white porcelain bottle from his arms and said, Young palace master, can't you just poison Xiaolixu? The grey-robed old man said. Xiaolixu is extremely vigilant. My senior brother can't poison him, but he can still do it by sprinkling some colorless and tasteless powder on Xiaolixu. As long as this colorless and tasteless powder sticks to Xiaolixu, we can lock him. And with Xiaolixu's vigilance, he should have suspected Lu Kunlun. If Lu Kunlun comes to the Taoist temple to take the sword box, they will surely follow him. At that time, ambush and surround and kill them. Once Xiaolixu dies, our Chen Palace can erode the Luoyang Escort Agency, and Lu Kunlun dies in Quanzhou, and I can also become the first swordsman of Holy Sword Lake. Then find a way to devour the swordmaster's skills, and I will be the master of Holy Sword Lake. This way, my 20 years of undercover work in Holy Sword Lake will not be in vain. The young man in white had a ferocious look on his face. This young man in white was called Chen, the third swordsman of Holy Sword Lake, and the only son of the palace master of Chen Palace. Of course, in the outside world, Chen, the palace master of Chen Palace, has no son. Chapter 756, Night rises, killing begins. Late at night in the inn, Xu, the second in command of the Luang escort agency, has not moved since entering the inn. What does he mean by this? Zhuangji asked with some confusion. What do you mean, he is waiting? Su Chen said. Although Su Chen has not been in this world for a long time, he has read countless martial arts novels. There is a saying that, if you read a book 100 times, its meaning will be revealed. After reading so many martial arts novels, it can be seen that this is a trap. The other party's purpose is not only on the sword box, but also to deal with the Luang escort agency. Xu is the person in charge of the Luang escort agency. There is such a saying in the Jiangnan martial arts world that, if you want to destroy the Luang escort agency, you must first destroy Xu. There are also rumors that Xu is the number one figure in the Luang escort agency. Now at this time, Xu is here. This is to give the other party a chance. Xu saw this, so he did not move, and waited for others to move first. I will keep a close eye on Xu. Yuan Suan understood what Su Chen meant, and bowed and left the room. Yuan Suan is one of the 10 great heroes in Gulong's novels. He is the one who made Chu Liuxiang fall into a passive position again and again. After Yuan Suan left, Zhuangji and Mei Zuanshang seemed to understand something. They were also talented people, and Yuan Suan had already made it very clear. How much do you know about Xu of Luang escort agency? Su Chen looked at Zhuangji and Mei Zuanshang and said. When they heard Su Chen mention Zhuangji and Mei Zuanshang's eyebrows moved slightly. This person is very famous, bloodful of West Tower, Xu, the second in command of Luang escort agency, but they didn't have much specific information in their minds. This person has a high sense of presence, but he is also very mysterious, and outsiders don't know his martial arts moves. His name, bloodful of West Tower, is also because he killed the 15 Jianghu people who robbed the escort silver of Luang escort agency that year, and he didn't have many positive records. This person is very powerful, Su Chen said. After hearing Su Chen's order, the two of them showed shock on their faces and tried their best to recall Xu's deeds. It was just as Su Chen said, they had no impression of Xu's achievements. This person is a bit scary, Mei Zuanshang said. Then what do you think of Sima Changhan, the boss of Luang escort agency? This person is like an invisible figure, and there is no sense of existence at all. Could it be that he is really a puppet created by Xu? Mei Zuanshang then continued, Sima Changhan can't be a puppet. How can it be so easy to become the boss? Sometimes ignoring a person will become a fatal key. Su Chen said. Young Dragon Chief, you mean Sima Changhan is stronger than Xu, but there are rumors that Sima Changhan saved Xu's life back then, so Sima Changhan is the boss of Luang escort agency. Zhuangji on the side couldn't help but say, really? Then let's take a look. Su Chen said. A person who can become a leader of a region, even if his subordinates support him, if he does not have extremely strong ability or strength, he will not be able to sit still. Sometimes being a puppet is not that easy. Moreover, Sima Changhan has been the head of the Luang escort agency for so many years. In the backyard of the inn, Xu was holding a book, reading under the lamp, with a calm expression. Qin Meng, who was standing beside him, was dozing off. He really couldn't stand reading. He didn't understand why scholars like to read by lamplight at night. Creak. The door was pushed open and the burly Zhu Xianlui stepped in. Xu put down the book in his hand, looked at Zhu Xianlui who came in and said, how did you investigate? I checked. The sword box was robbed, and it was not someone in our escort agency who betrayed the news. Zhu Xianlui said. If it wasn't a leak from our escort agency, how did the other party know that we were sending two escorts, the light and the dark? Qin Meng asked puzzledly. The light and dark darts were decided by you, and the method was determined after the things were obtained. The people who followed the darts didn't know about it, so it wouldn't happen in our escort agency. I thought of this before. Now we are just confirming. If it is not the news leaked by our escort agency, it can only be from Master Qin. He made a mark on the sword case, so that the other party can find it accurately. Zyrolixu said in a cold voice. Master Qin, this is unlikely. Why did he do this? You have to ask Master Qin himself. After the matter is settled, I will go to the Qin family manor in person. While Zyrolixu was speaking, a murderous intent filled the room. At this time, a black figure walked in. Second in command, Liu Kunlun has moved. The man said. Let's go and see who is trying to plot against us. Zyrolixu stood up, with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Qin Meng and Zhu Xianluo's expressions changed. They looked at each other and followed Zyrolixu. After they left in the night, Liu Kunlun's figure was extremely fast. He soon arrived at the Taoist temple. At this time, the Taoist temple seemed very quiet, but in the main hall of the Taoist temple, candles flickered, and 3 figures sat on the futon. Not far away, a black sword box was placed. Liu Kunlun walked into the main hall of the Taoist temple. His eyes fell on the sword box at the first time, and a look of joy appeared on his face. Mr. Liu, thank you for your cooperation. The old man in the center of the futon looked at Liu Kunlun and said, huh, I didn't cooperate with you. I took the sword box away. After saying that, Liu Kunlun looked at the old man and walked towards the sword box. His mind was focused on the 3 people, and he found that the 3 people did not move. His face relaxed, his body accelerated, and he appeared in front of the sword box, raising his hand to grab the sword box. Without any obstruction, the sword box was grabbed by him. I didn't expect you to be so trustworthy. Liu Kunlun, with the sword box in his hand, looked at the 3 people sitting in the hall. Of course we are trustworthy. Thank you, Mr. Liu, for helping us to attract Zyrolixu. You, the second leader Zyro, are here. Show up. When the old man in the middle spoke, he stood up and looked outside the hall. Liu Kunlun's eyes condensed. 3 figures appeared at the door of the hall. It was Zyrolixu, Qin Meng and Zhu Xianluo. It seems that you asked Mr. Liu to lead me here specifically. This time your target is me. It's just that I don't understand. It seems that you don't need to involve Mr. Liu to lead me. What is your other purpose? Zyrolixu looked at the 3 people in the hall calmly. Too much nonsense. Zyrolixu, tonight is the day you die. The one who spoke was the bald man next to him. While the bald man was speaking, a terrifying murderous aura and fierceness emanated from his body, and his body shape was like a ferocious beast, rushing towards Zyrolixu. A divine power also burst out from his body. The divine power became a wolf shadow state, and with his body shape, he quickly appeared in front of Zyrolixu. His palms became claws, and grabbed towards Zyrolixu's head. Boom. Zhu Xianluo, who was next to Zyrolixu, took a step forward. A terrifying energy appeared on his body. Under this energy, his body grew a lot taller, and his body was like iron. His muscles were ferocious, his face was ferocious, and he punched out, with a terrifying lightning in his fist, colliding with the claw that grabbed him. Bang! The 2 forces collided, forming a wave of air, and most of the candles in the hall were extinguished in an instant. Chapter 757, Yama Palace, Blood Rakshasa, Black Blade. The sturdy man in brocade clothes beside the old man stood up, and looked at Qin Meng beside Zyrolixu. Boss Qin-san, let's settle the revenge of the palm strike we had that year. Why don't I remember the palm strike back then? Qin Meng looked at the brocade clothed man and frowned slightly. He had no memory of fighting with this man. I didn't expect Boss Qin-san to be so forgetful. My 2 brothers back then held you back, so I had a chance to escape from you. The brocade clothed man looked at Qin Meng and said, 3 major bandit leaders, Calhui, I didn't expect your figure to change so much. Qin Meng knew who the other party was at this time. Since you have escaped, you should live in disgrace. I didn't expect you to dare to provoke me. I will send you to see your brother today. Qin Meng said with a cold look in his eyes. You are looking for death. A huge iron axe appeared in the brocade clothed man's hand. He rushed out in an instant, swinging the iron axe in his hand at such a fast speed that it formed a special trajectory, making it seem impossible to tell where the axe trajectory was. Very exquisite axe moves. Qin Meng's eyes condensed, his footsteps moved, and his palms clapped up. A terrifying energy quickly gathered towards his palms, and his palms became like a giant hand covering the sky, with terrifying power, slapping towards the giant axe. Seeing Qin Meng's palm, the man in brocade clothes became ferocious and shouted, "Divine power, split the mountains and rivers with one axe." Suddenly, the originally strange giant axe suddenly changed, and the murderous spirit burst out with a terrifying breath of splitting the sky and collapsing the earth. Qin Meng's expression changed. Divine power, undestroying tyrant fist. Boom! At this moment, Qin Meng also shouted, clenched his palms and punched out. It collided with the giant axe that was chopped. Bang! The two forces burst out with terrifying energy fluctuations, and the whole hall seemed to shake. At this moment, only the grey-robed old man in the hall, Xiao Lixu who did not take action, and Lu Kunlun who was holding the sword box beside him. Xiao Lixu stood still at the door, his facial features calm, his eyes like pearls in the sea of gods, unusually bright, like stars in the dark night. It seems that you are all masters secretly gathered by Xianzhen Palace, but I don't understand how you three can kill me. I'm puzzled. Xiao Lixu looked at the grey-robed old man and said, Xiao Lixu, don't you have a plan? Can you calculate what our ultimate goal is? The grey-robed old man looked at Xiao Lixu and said gloomily, well. Xiao Lixu's eyes condensed slightly. Time's up. The grey-robed old man looked at Lu Kunlun. Lu Kunlun saw the grey-robed old man looking at him, and his expression was slightly stunned. He didn't understand what the grey-robed old man meant by looking at him at this moment. Suddenly, a black gas appeared in the palm of his hand holding the sword box, and the black gas covered his right hand in an instant and went towards his heart. Lu Kunlun immediately threw the sword box away. A burst of sword energy erupted from his body, covering his right arm, resisting the black energy, but the sword energy was quickly consumed, and a trace of cold sweat appeared on Lu Kunlun's forehead. Lu Kunlun came with you. You won't watch him being killed like this. Once he dies, how will you explain to the sword master of Holy Sword Lake? The grey-robed old man looked at Xiao Lixu. His eyes were extremely gloomy. He is destined to die. Why should I help him? Xiao Lixu stood there without moving at all. Lu Kunlun's affairs had nothing to do with him. You. The grey-robed old man was stunned. Ah. Lu Kunlun also heard what Xiao Lixu said. His eyes were fierce, and the long sword in his left hand was unsheathed, and instantly cut his right arm. At this moment, Lu Kunlun actually cut off his right arm. His left hand tapped on his right arm several times to stop the bleeding. He stared at the grey-robed old man and Xiao Lixu fiercely. Xiao Lixu, what did you just say? I'm destined to die. His voice was low, with anger in his eyes. Since you came here with me, your fate has been determined. The other party will not let you leave with a sword box. Your coming here means that the other party wants you dead. Xiao Lixu looked at the grey-robed old man and said, Xiao Lixu, I admire you very much. I didn't expect you could guess this. There is no need to guess. I just want to know how you can plot against me with your strength. Which strong man from Xianzhen Palace will come? Xiao Lixu said in a low voice, looking around. On the eaves of a Taoist temple, Su Chen and the other four were watching the situation in the hall. They are also plotting against Lu Kunlun. This is an unlucky guy. Su Chen shook his head. This Xiao Lixu is very calm and powerful. Su Chen has been paying attention to the second in command of Luoyang Escort Agency. This man has always looked very calm and knows a lot. Who are the strong men of Xianzhen Palace? Su Chen asked. Xianzhen Palace is one of the three palaces in the Jiangnan martial arts sects. There are two top masters of sea concentration. One is the palace master Bei Mochen and the deputy palace master Lin Xiaoshan. There are also two deputy palace masters, whose strength is also in sea concentration. This is on the surface. If Bei Mochen does not show up, it should be Lin Xiaoshan who comes. Mei Zuanshang said. Just as she was speaking, two figures walked out from the dark. The one in front was wearing red clothes, with a head of black hair flying in the wind, bright eyes, slender and white hands, but there was a sense of majesty between his eyebrows. behind this figure, followed by a man in a black robe. The man's eyes were sharp, and he carried a black long sword behind him. Yanluo Palace, Blood Rakshasa, Black Knife Man. Seeing the two people coming out, Xiaolixu's eyes slightly condensed. Second Master Xiao, it's been a few years since we last met. I hope you are well. The woman in red said with a spring smile. It's been a few years since we last met. I didn't expect that Yanluo City, which had disappeared for 20 years, would actually cooperate with Chen Palace. Emperor Zhao was severely injured. The situation has really changed. All of you disappeared forces have come out. Xiaolixu said in a deep voice. Xiaolixu, you have no chance to leave alive under the siege of the three of us. I will give you a decent death. Zuluosha looked at Xiaolixu and said, I really want to know, what is your other purpose? Xiaolixu did not reply to Zuluosha's words, but asked about their other purpose. Can't you guess it? Zuluosha said. If he guessed it, he wouldn't show up. While Zuluosha was speaking, a man in white clothes and a mask came out. His voice was very young, and he was a young man. Well, Xiaolixu looked at the young man in white and said, this plan was arranged by you. It's really a hero in youth. It doesn't matter if I tell you. This matter was planned by me. Let me tell you, what is the other purpose? The other purpose is to destroy your Luang escort agency. Now the Luang escort agency should be a river of blood. The young man in white said coldly. You are from the Holy Sword Lake. What a great move. That kills 3 birds with 1 stone. Xiaolixu suddenly said this when the young man in white finished speaking. Hearing Xiaolixu's words, the young man in white showed surprise in his eyes. He didn't expect Xiaolixu to reveal his identity and not pay attention to the current situation of the Luang escort agency. You don't care about the Luang escort agency. The young man in white looked at Xiaolixu and said. Chapter 758, Lu Kunlun's death. Xiaolixu's perfect plan. My Luang escort agency has dominated Luang for decades. You can't just destroy it. Xiaolixu looked at the young man in white and said. You plotted against me. At this moment, the armless Lu Kunlun looked at the masked young man with a fierce light in his eyes. One arm was broken, and he only had his left arm. He had never practiced left-handed sword, and it would be difficult for him to achieve success in the future. All this was caused by the man in white in front of him. He wanted to kill the young man in white. I want to kill you, and see who you are. Lu Kunlun moved his feet, and his figure turned into a residual image, and he went towards the young man in white. The long sword in his hand turned into a stream of light, and went towards the young man in white. Brother, you could have lived a little longer, but you are looking for death. As your junior brother, I will send you off. The young man in white called himself a junior brother, which was to admit his identity. The young man in white pulled out his waist, and a grey sword light appeared instantly, shooting towards Lu Kunlun who had made the move. The sword came out, dead silent, without a sound. It was much faster than Lu Kunlun. How can he compare to the opponent if he is not familiar with the left-handed sword? When Lu Kunlun made a move, he sensed the opponent's speed of attack. His expression changed, and his figure retreated rapidly. The left-handed sword quickly retreated and blocked in front of him. Clang! The sound of metal collision rang out. Lu Kunlun's figure was shocked and retreated, and the long sword in his hand was a little unstable and fell directly to the ground. At the moment of being shocked and retreating, Lu Kunlun turned around and went out of the hall. Just now, he did not want to kill the opponent. He was angry, but he pretended. He was looking for a chance to escape. In the hands of others, he had no chance to escape. Although his current strength has entered the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, the people present are all sea level masters, and he cannot resist the divine power. If his right arm was not broken, he could still perform a self-mutilating domineering sword move and burst out. But now he does not have that ability. Brother, you can't leave. When Lu Kunlun moved, the man in black who had contacted him before appeared in front of him and slapped him with one palm. The speed was extremely fast. Lu Kunlun raised his hand hastily to receive a palm strike from the other party. Bang! He flew backwards in an instant, and his body landed in front of the young man in white. The long sword in the young man's hand was like a spirit snake, and he instantly stabbed Lu Kunlun in the heart. Then he sucked with his palm. The sword box was sucked into his palm. Brother, I'll borrow your blood. The young man in white then dropped the sword box on the wound on Luke Cunlin's chest. Suddenly, the blood from the sword, wound on Luke Cunlin's chest instantly flowed into the sword box. The sword box emitted a scarlet light on Luke Cunlin's blood. You, who are you? Luke Cunlin still had a breath left, looking at the young man in white. The young man in white slowly came to Luke Cunlin's ear and whispered a word. You. How could it be? Before he finished speaking, the whole person had no breath. He died unwillingly, his body shriveled, and all the blood flowed into the sword box. It seems that Master Qin's sword box was not forged for Luke Cunlin, but for you. I didn't expect that you have been planning this for 10 years. Xiaolixu said as he watched this scene. Xiaolixu, I didn't expect you could see this. I really admire you. I wonder if you can guess who I am? The young man in white said to Xiaolixu. The third sword child Shi Hanshan. Xiaolixu said. HMM. Hearing this, the young man in white changed his expression, slowly took off his mask, revealing an unusually cold face. How did you know it was mine? He looked at Xiaolixu with sharp eyes. I guessed, from the beginning to the end. The second sword child was an abandoned baby adopted by the sword master. He was a little dull, so he was definitely not one of them. So I guessed from the third sword child, but I didn't expect that I guessed it. I really want to know your identity in Xianshan Palace. Now that your identity is exposed, you don't need to hide it anymore. Xiaolixu said as he looked at the young man in white. I'm the young palace master of Xianshan Palace, the son of Bei Motion. Shi Hanshan said. Is that so? Bei Motion is really amazing. He actually sent his own son to the Holy Sword Lake. This time he not only plotted against my Luoyang escort agency, but also against the Holy Sword Lake. He wants to be the real overlord of Luoyang County. Xiaolixu said. The overlord of Luoyang County is too young. I'm very curious, why don't you worry about the safety of Luoyang escort agency? Going to Luoyang escort agency, but my father and Uncle Lin, as well as the Lord of Yama Palace Wei Dungeon, 3 top-level concentration masters, even if Sima Changhan is hiding, he will only die. But it's a pity that you can't see it. Shi Hanshan looked at Xiaolixu and said. Sometimes, you are plotting, but it doesn't mean that my Luoyang escort agency has no plots. The outcome of the Luoyang escort agency is still uncertain. Xiaolixu said coldly. In the dark, why is Xiaolixu still so calm? Judging from the current layout, Sima Changhan will definitely die, and he himself may not be able to leave this Taoist temple. Mei Zuanshan transmitted the voice. I don't know the details, but Xiaolixu is so calm, he must have some tricks. But what kind of power is Yama Palace? Who knows? Su Chen couldn't help asking. I've read a record of the martial arts world. During the Great Chu Empire, there were 4 evil sects in the martial arts world. Dead Man's Tomb, Evil God Palace, Yama Palace, Shanyan Sect. But after Emperor Zhao ascended the throne, these 4 evil sects disappeared. Mei Zuanshan said. 4 evil sects? I didn't expect Dead Man's Tomb to be one of the 4 evil sects. Su Chen frowned slightly. After Emperor Zhao was seriously injured, the martial arts world really became chaotic. He looked at Xiaolixu. He didn't know why the other party was so calm. Xiaolixu, you are still the same as before. No matter what happens, you seem so calm. Do you think Sima Changhan will have a chance to live? After you die today, Sima Changhan will go to accompany you. As he spoke, the aura of blood Rakshasa condensed and suddenly released, and in an instant a sharp and cold aura appeared in the entire hall. Boom. Boom. At this moment, Qin Meng and Zhu Xianlei, who had fought before, suddenly roared, concentrated their strength, and punched out, knocking back the people who were fighting with them, and their figures fell at the door of the hall. Second brother, hurry up, let's stop them. Zhu Xianlei rushed out first, and the power around him continued to surge. A terrifying thunder energy burst out of his body. In an instant, the whole person was like thunder, rushing towards everyone. No, he's going to self-destruct. The black knife man behind the blood Rakshasa changed his face, and his figure instantly flew into the air, and slashed with a knife. Swish. The black knife light appeared instantly, and the knife passed by, and the Zhu Xianlei who had made the move was cut in 2 by this knife. What a sharp knife. Chen, who was watching the battle, looked at the knife and his eyes condensed. At this moment, Xiaolixu and Qinmeng had retreated and appeared outside the Taoist temple hall. But the red figure in front of them was blocking them. Xiaolixu, your brother died for you, how can you leave? The blood Rakshasa looked at Xiaolixu and said. Chapter 759, Madman, Ruthless Man, Calculating with his life. Qinmeng, I'll give you a chance. If you surrender to us, you will be the boss of Luoyang Escort Agency from now on. The young man in white followed and said to Qinmeng, Humph, if you want to kill us, you can use your methods. Qinmeng snorted coldly. The ki on his body flowed and a terrifying ki burst out. He stepped forward and raised his fist. Immortal Tyrant Fist. The terrifying ki gathered towards his fist and a terrifying and domineering aura emanated from his fist. However, when he punched, his fist suddenly turned and attacked Xiaolixu behind him. Swish. However, this terrifying fist also burst out, and a blood-colored ki penetrated his ki and pierced his heart. Qinmeng's gathered ki dissipated instantly. He looked at Xiaolixu with horror. You, how did you know it was me? Qinmeng looked at Xiaolixu in disbelief. He didn't expect Xiaolixu to attack him. Although he escorted in secret this time, and although Master Qin marked the sword box, your route was the same, and you were one in front and one behind, only 2 miles apart. I don't believe that you couldn't detect or catch up with such a short distance. Of course I only had a slight suspicion before, but I couldn't make a judgment without seeing the scene. But your ki was running violently just now, but the ki has nodes. It was not sent to them, but to me, so I attacked first. Xiaolixu's expression was still calm. He didn't seem to be angry at Qinmeng's betrayal at all. Xiaolixu, you are really amazing. If we don't kill you today, we will be uneasy. Shi Hanshan looked at Xiaolixu with a serious look. While speaking, 5 figures surrounded Xiaolixu. Even if I die today, you will be uneasy, because my Luoyang Escort Agency will exist, and the news here will also be known to the escort agency. When Xiaolixu was speaking, a small grey shadow suddenly jumped out from his sleeves. At the moment the figure jumped out. Divine power, 10,000 Deos. Boom. A terrifying aura surged out from behind him. The originally dark night was instantly shrouded in darkness. A series of terrifying shadows appeared in the darkness. The surrounding aura changed instantly, like hell. Looking for death. Looking for death. Divine power, blood prison Rakshasa. Divine power, blade prison. 2 terrifying divine powers burst out at the same time, shattering Xiaolixu's divine power. For a moment, the temple returned to normal. It's a bit late. It should have been sent out, and it has been sent out. Xiaolixu said calmly. What's the use of sending it out? The Luoyang Escort Agency will disappear tonight. Shi Hanshan said with a ferocious face. Really? I have 2 real brothers who share life and death. One is Sima Changhan, and the other is Zilin Wu. The 3 of us wandered out of the village together. That year, I was 7 years old, Sima Changhan was 8 years old, and Zilin Wu was the same age as me, but 1 month younger than me. Sima Changhan is the eldest brother, I'm the second oldest, and Zilin Wu is the third oldest. We depended on each other, and wandered together for a year. Later, Sima Changhan and I joined the Luoyang Escort Agency. At that time, the Luoyang Escort Agency was just an ordinary escort agency, not as famous as it is today. When Xiaolixu said this, there was a trace of nostalgia in his eyes. Humph. Xiaolixu, are you saying this to reminisce? We all know that the Luoyang Escort Agency developed in your hands. You don't have to brag here. I really want to know who the Zilin Wu you are talking about is. Shi Hanshan said coldly. He didn't want to hear Xiaolixu's memories here. Xiaolixu didn't seem to care about Shi Hanshan's words, and there was still memories in his eyes. Big brother, third brother, I will leave first today. Xiaolixu said in a deep voice, with some sadness in his tone. He looked at Shi Hanshan and said, Zilin Wu joined the Xianshan Palace, and changed his name to Lin Xiaoshan. What? Hearing Xiaolixu's words, the expressions of the people present changed. Lin Xiaoshan is a deputy palace master of Xianshan Palace, the only one whose strength is close to Bei Motion. How is it possible? Lin Xiaoshan knows today's plan. He knows this news. Why are you here? Shi Hanshan looked at Xiaolixu and said. His eyes were full of disbelief. Yes. As Shi Hanshin said, if Lin Xiaoshan and Sima Changhan were brothers, Xiaolixu would not be here at all. Of course I know that you want to surround and kill me, but we don't know who you are cooperating with and who is involved in the Holy Sword Lake. Xiaolixu said. Since you know, why did you say that Lu Kunlun must die just now and you brought Lu Kunlun here? Shi Hanshin asked coldly. Because he was coming, I brought him here and I was going to kill him. Only if he died, the Sword Master of Holy Sword Lake would be furious, and then my elder brother could cooperate with Holy Sword Lake and attack you, Xianshan Palace. In this way, Luoyang Escort Agency can become the overlord of Luoyang County, except Holy Sword Lake. Xiaolixu said. But if you die tonight, Sima Changhan of Luoyang Escort Agency should not be in the Escort Agency tonight, and Luoyang Escort Agency will not suffer any losses. Why should Holy Sword Lake believe what you said? Because my wife and children will also die tonight, and I believe that their death will make the Lord of Holy Sword Lake believe it. Xiaolixu looked indifferent. You are a lunatic. Hearing Xiaolixu's words, Shi Hanshin's eyes were cold. This is a complete lunatic. Not only is he cruel to himself, but also to his family. What a lunatic, and a ruthless person. Su Chen in the dark couldn't help but say, kill. Surround and kill him first. Shi Hanshin said angrily. Xiaolixu, rarely attack. Today is the last time Xiaolixu, attack. Let me show you my true strength. Xiaolixu's tone was filled with a sense of desolation, a kind of yearning, and a determination to die. A terrifying black true ki burst out from his body, and the true ki permeated the whole person at this moment, just like a demon king. Just now you killed my Luoyang Escort Agency, the fifth boss, so you die. Xiaolixu moved his body and slashed at the Black Knife Man. Kill. The Black Knife Man slashed again with a long knife in his hand, and a huge knife light appeared in the air and went towards Xiaolixu. Kill, kill, kill. The other 4 people also attacked Xiaolixu at the same time. For a moment, the sky and the earth roared, and the sound of explosions swept all around. Xiaolixu did not resist at all, and all his own spirit and spirit were condensed, and fell into his palm, and his palm shattered the knife light. He penetrated the true ki of the Black Knife Man and slapped the opponent's chest with one palm. Xiaolixu's palm slapped the Black Swordsman's entire body, and sent him flying backwards, spitting blood, and crashing into the wall. Xiaolixu's body was also attacked by the palm power of the 4 people. Bang! His body fell down. I didn't kill you with one blow, but your meridians were torn, and your danshan was destroyed. You can't hold on for long. Bang. After saying this, his entire body exploded, and turned into a ball of flesh and blood. Chapter 760 Renkai-Angsing, a sword across the world. Seeing this, the red-clothed blood Rakshasa quickly came to the side of the Black Blade guest, and a pill appeared in his hand, wanting to give it to the Black Blade guest. But the Black Blade guest vomited blood and died. So many people surrounded Xiaolixu, but he killed one person in return. Shi Hanshin's face was ferocious. Young Palace Master, let's leave here as soon as possible. At this time, the black-clothed man appeared in front of Shi Hanshin with a sword box. Let's go. Shi Hanshin said. It's a pity that this scene ends like this. Leave the sword box and you can leave. At this time, a cold voice appeared around. A man holding a long sword came out from the dark. In the dark Zuanji and many Zuanshan looked at the figure that appeared and couldn't help but look at Su Chen again. Why are you looking at me like this? We can think of it, and others can think of it too. See who the other party is. Su Chen said. Of course, Su Chen knew who the other party was. The other party was Renkai-Angsing, who followed them to the Holy Sword Lake. The fighting here was a bit loud. Some martial artists were on their way. They would arrive soon. He made a move. His identity would be revealed by then. He didn't want to let many people in for the time being, so he let Renkai-Angsing make the move. Who are you? Shi Hanshin looked a little ferocious as he saw the young man appear. What happened today was completely beyond his expectations. They plotted against Xiaolixu, but they didn't expect to be plotted against by Xiaolixu. Xiaolixu was also a ruthless person. He used the lives of his entire family to plot against them. He helped Sima Changhan. He didn't expect that after Xiaolixu was dealt with, another person would appear, and he was so arrogant. Do you have the fate to take this sword box? If you stay in the dark and don't show up, you can live, but if you show up, you will die. Shi Hanshan looked at Ren Qianxing and said, there are not many people in this world who can kill me. Ren Qianxing said in a flat tone. What a crazy tone. Who are you? Zulu Oshal looked at Ren Qianxing and said, Xianaya Pavilion, Z Pavilion, Ren Qianxing. Ren Qianxing said in a cold tone, Xianaya Pavilion, Ren Qianxing from the West Pavilion. Hearing Ren Qianxing's words, the expressions of the people present changed. They didn't expect that the other party was from Xianaya Pavilion. My Xianshan Palace doesn't seem to have any grudges with your Xianaya Pavilion. Is it inappropriate for you to do this? Shi Hanshan looked at Ren Qianxing and said, there is nothing inappropriate. What I want is the sword box. The sword box is not yours, so why can't I have it? Ren Qianxing said coldly. Arrogant, just you. The grey-clothed old man next to the blood Rakshasa snorted coldly, and his figure turned into a residual image and appeared in front of Ren Qianxing. Let me see your strength. Divine power, blood cry. But before he finished speaking, and the divine power was released, a sword light suddenly appeared. Swish. The grey-robed old man's whole body was split in half by a sword. The two halves of the body fell to the ground. Blood kept spurting out. Ren Qianxing slowly put the long sword in his hand into the scabbard. And, dare you attack this pavilion master? Ren Qianxing said indifferently. He killed the grey-robed old man with a sword, and the red-clothed blood Rakshasa's expression changed. The sword intent that the other party just showed was very strong. Are you the pavilion master of Xianaya Pavilion, West Pavilion? Blood Rakshasa said. I'm the deputy pavilion master of Xianaya Pavilion, West Pavilion. Ren Qianxing said. Deputy pavilion master? Not pavilion master? Blood Rakshasa's eyes condensed. He looked at the other two people, and the other two nodded at the same time. Kill. The three of them shouted at the same time. All the divine power burst out and attacked Ren Qianxing. In the front was the red-clothed blood Rakshasa, who raised his palm and a blood-colored full moon appeared in his hand. The other two attacked from both sides and burst out divine power. The three formed a pincer attack. The terrifying energy swept the night sky. Blood Rakshasa, the top C concentration, although the other two were not the top C concentration, but they were also strong C concentration. The three people attacked fiercely together. Divine power, one sword to separate the world. Ren Qianxing shouted in a low voice. Divine power burst out from his body. His strongest offensive sword move is one sword to separate the world, so he has been using his sword moves to condense his divine power during this period. He cannot use the power of the broken realm, but he uses the powerful people in the sea to perform one sword to separate the world. He wants to see how many people in this world can resist. With the divine power, the world changes, the wind and clouds rise, and the thunder dances in the sky. Boom. Ren Qianxing swung the long sword in his hand. The moment the sword energy was released, it split into three. Swish, swish, swish. Three sword lights passed by. The previous energy storm between heaven and earth disappeared instantly. It became quiet all of a sudden. The three attacks on Ren Qianxing's body stopped halfway. They looked at their chests with disbelief in their eyes. The palms touched their chests. Bang. Blood burst out from the chest. Plop, plop. Two figures fell to the ground, leaving only the blood Rakshasa. She looked at Ren Qianxing with horror. She was a top-notch C concentration master, but she couldn't even block the opponent's sword. You. After saying only two words she fell to the ground. Seeing this, the warriors who had just come to the Jianghu from the dark were all shocked. This is too powerful. Qianxing, the deputy director of the West Pavilion of Xianaya Pavilion, killed 3 C concentration masters with one sword, including a top-notch C concentration master. At this moment, Shi Hanshan's face was horrified. He didn't expect that this man who looked about the same age as him would have such terrifying strength. The sword box is for you, let us go. The sword box contains poison, and I'm the only one who has the antidote. Shi Hanshan put the sword box on the ground and said, he who knows the times is a hero. Ren Qianxing's strength was too strong, and he had no chance to resist, so he could only give up the sword box. Humph. Ren Kaiaxing snorted coldly, raised his palm, and sucked the sword box into his hand. The key in his hand flowed on the sword box, and the sword box seemed to be baptized by the key. The key disappeared, and the sword box fell into his hands. I didn't expect that the group from Holy Sword Lake could actually obtain such a treasure. It's really great, Ren Kaiaxing said. Seeing Ren Kaiaxing remove the poison on the sword box so easily, Shi Hanshen's expression changed, and he and the man in black instantly went into the Taoist temple. Ren Kaiaxing glanced at the two people, raised his palm, and instantly slapped out two palms. The two people couldn't avoid the two palms at all. Their bodies were slapped out and hit the wall, and they lost their breath instantly. In the dark, Zuangji and Mei Zuanshan looked at Su Chen. This Ren Kaiaxing is too strong. Young dragon head, do you still want the sword box? I don't think you even have a chance to touch it. Mei Zuanshan looked at Su Chen and said. There was a smile on her face. With Ren Kaiaxing's strength, she was sure that Su Chen would not dare to snatch it, so she ridiculed Su Chen, who made Su Chen tease her all the way. I can really touch it. Let's make a bet. If I can touch the sword box, you promise me to do something. Of course, you can definitely do it. If I can't do it, I promise you one thing. I can definitely do it. Do you dare to bet? Su Chen looked at Mei Zuanshan and said. This is a bit dangerous. Let's not do it. Mei Zuanshan looked at Su Chen very seriously and couldn't help but said. This Ren Kaiaxing is too strong. I'll take it as your promise. Zuangji, do you know who this Ren Kaiaxing is? He has a close relationship with someone. Do you know that person? Su Chen looked at Zuangji and said, the person I know is related to this Ren Kaiaxing. Xian'ai Pavilion. I just know General Envoy Guan Yushan. This Ren Kaiaxing is related to General Envoy Guan. Zuangji couldn't help but say. He is the son of General Envoy Guan, so I know him. I asked him to show me the sword box. There is no problem. Su Chen looked at Mei Zuanshan and laughed. You cheated. Hearing Su Chen's words, Mei Zuanshan's face turned angry, and she wanted to grab Su Chen with her hands. But Su Chen dodged. Let's go back first and meet Deputy Pavilion Master Ren later. After saying that, he turned around and left. It was not appropriate to meet here with so many people. Chapter 761. Luoyang is in turmoil. The four symbols of heaven's will. The wrath of the wind god. Late at night. Inside an inn, Su Chen looked at the sword box on the table, raised his hand, and picked it up. Observing it, the 7-star sword box can contain 7 long swords, and the swords are connected. 2 orange lottery cards are awarded. As expected, Su Chen put the sword box down. Although he doesn't use a sword, he knows that it can contain 7 long swords and achieve swords. This 7-star sword box is extraordinary. I'm afraid that the Holy Sword Lake will not give up this sword box. This sword box is useless to me, but you can use it. Su Chen said. Thank you, my lord. With this sword box, I can temporarily contain 7 long swords. When the time comes, the 7 long swords will perform a sword to separate the world together. I believe the power will be even more extraordinary, Ren Kaiaxing said. He has been in this world for a few days. Following Su Chen and the others, he has gradually become familiar with the situation in this world. It can be said that the martial arts masters in this world are very strong. Although he is confident that he has extraordinary strength, he cannot underestimate the martial artists in this world. Hearing Ren Kaiaxing's words, Su Chen's face showed shock. Unexpectedly, Ren Kaiaxing was thinking of using the 7 long swords to perform the sword to separate the world. How is the practice of the 4 symbols of heaven's will going? Su Chen said. I haven't practiced it yet. I'm practicing the innate energy for the time being. My sword to separate the world consumes too much true energy. The true energy in my body must be more powerful so that I can perform a stronger sword to separate the world. Ren Kaiaxing said, the 4 symbols of heaven's will is strong, but it still needs to be practiced from the beginning. He is now solving the problem of his true energy consumption in the sword to separate the world. Su Chen nodded when he saw this. Everyone has his own way of practice. He also got the 4 symbols of heaven's will, but because the 4 symbols of heaven's will was not directly instilled, his practice was a bit slow. He hasn't practiced the first move, the wind god's wrath. he also needs to work hard. In fact, in Demon Sword Life and Death Chess, Xian Shinganki, one sword separating worlds, 4 symbols shooting sun arrows, are no worse than Xian 4 symbols do. After today, we will separate. Here is 1 million taels of silver notes. You can buy 7 good swords first, and go to Shengjian Lake first. Su Chen said. Thank you, my lord. This time, I will definitely make the reputation of Xian'ai Pavilion even better. Ren Qianxing said. He already has a goal in mind. The strongest person in Shengjian Lake is the sword master. He wants to compete with the sword master. He is not trying to enter Shengjian Lake to see the traces left by the sword masters of Shengjian Lake. Although Ren Qianxing has cultivated one sword separating worlds, he is not obsessed with swordsmanship. He is not a person who only cares about swords. In his previous life, he also used the 2 swords of life and death, Lingxiang Sword Hard Sword, and Demon Sword, to further improve his strength. Of course, he was defeated by the 5th arrow of Jian'ai's 4 symbols shooting sun arrow in the end. This time, he has to be stronger. Today he became famous, but it was not enough. He wanted to let the people in the martial arts world know him thoroughly. I believe you. Su Chen nodded. I'll take my leave first. After Ren Qianxing saluted Su Chen, he jumped out of the window and left. The next day, the whole Quanzhou city was in turmoil. What happened last night had already fermented in the city. Of course, some people did not see some of the situation. They just saw Ren Qianxing use his sword to kill 3 sea concentrated masters. The identities of the bodies in the Taoist temple were all found out, and the general news about what happened in the Taoist temple last night was also spread. This news was sent out by Su Chen. It was mainly about the identity of the deceased and the calculation of Xianchen Palace. As for Xiao Lixu's counter-calculation, it was not sent out. When the identity of the deceased and what happened at that time appeared, the whole Quanzhou and Luoyang were shocked. Shengjian Lake, the son of the sword master, died just like that, and died at the hands of the 3rd sword son Shihanshan, who was actually the son of the palace master of Xianchen Palace. The storm spread throughout Luoyang County. Su Chen and his companions continued to head toward the Holy Sword Lake, but Ren Qianxing, who was carrying a sword box, attracted more attention. Everyone in the Jiang who knew that the sword box behind Ren Qianxing was the sword box that Master Qin had cast for the Holy Sword Lake. But he was so blatantly carrying a sword box to the Holy Sword Lake. What did Ren Qianxing mean by this? Was he sending the sword box back, or telling the Holy Sword Lake that the sword box was his? Of course, when some people were thinking about this, some people also lamented Ren Qianxing's strength and Ren Qianxing's identity. The West Pavilion of Xian'ai Pavilion, the Deputy Pavilion Master, the North Pavilion and the South Pavilion of Xian'ai Pavilion appeared in the capital, and the East Pavilion appeared outside the Great Wall. The Deputy Pavilion Master of the West Pavilion has never appeared in Jiangnan. Is the West Pavilion of Xian'ai Pavilion preparing to take over Jiangnan? Some people thought, and this idea was supported by many people. With the opening of the Holy Sword Lake, the West Pavilion of Xian'ai Pavilion wanted to establish its majesty, and it was most appropriate to use the momentum of the Holy Sword Lake. Su Chen, on his side, sat in a carriage and was not in a hurry to go to Luoyang City. Inside the carriage, Su Chen took a look. After taking out the remaining 4 orange lottery cards last time, plus the 2 lottery cards he just got, he now has 6 orange lottery cards. He will take out 3 first. Congratulations on getting the first form of the Xian'ai 4 symbols art, the Wind God's Wrath, and the Zhenwu 5 organs pill, 10 pill/bottle. Congratulations on getting a Danshan Huahei pill. This. Su Chen looked at the things he got, his eyes slightly condensed. I didn't expect to draw the first form of the Xian'ai 4 symbols art, the Wind God's Wrath, and the comprehension card this time. When I practice, I will use this comprehension card. Zhenwu 5 organs pill, a pill that can strengthen the internal organs and replenish the internal organs' vitality. It is suitable for people who are about to die. Danshan Huahei pill, a special internal energy pill. After taking it, it can help the Shanren Jiunan warriors to step into the Danshan Huahei level. The strength of the Danshan Huahei depends on their own practice. Except for the Zenwu 5 organs pill, the others are temporarily useful to Su Chen. There were still 3 cards left, and Su Chen thought there was no need to keep them, so he just took them out. God Power Amplification card, Heaven Eye Spirit Leaf, and a heart clearing jade pendant HMM. Su Chen immediately started to investigate. God Power Amplification card, it can help the Sea Concentrated Strongman to increase their power of God Power. Heaven Eye Spirit Leaf, leaves appear on a special treasure tree, which can make the eyes bright and improve the perception of the 5 senses. Heaven Clearing Jade Pendant, the wearer can maintain a certain state of mind. They are all good things. Su Chen smiled. Is there any movement in Luoyang City? What happened to the Luoyang escort agency last night? Su Chen asked Zhuangji. I got the news that there was a fire at the headquarters of the Luoyang escort agency last night, with countless casualties. Xiao Lixu's wife and children died tragically, and the first boss Sima Changhan and the 4th boss Tang Lai disappeared. It's basically the same as what Xiao Lixu said. Zhuangji said. A crazy person is really not an ordinary person. But I'm very curious about this Sima Changhan. I would like to meet him when I have time. Zhuangji, the Zhuangjia Bank in Luoyang County should have dealings with them. Su Chen looked at Zhuangji and said, the transportation of silver back and forth between the Zhuangjia Bank and the bank must not be done by the bank itself. In Luoyang County, the Luoyang Escort Agency is the strongest, so this business must be done with the Luoyang Escort Agency. There is business dealings. The transportation of silver back and forth between the Zhuangjia Bank in Luoyang County is all in cooperation with the Luoyang Escort Agency. It's just that the people we previously contacted were all Tang Lai, the 4 masters of the Luoyang Escort Agency. Zhuangji said. This Sima Changhan is really mysterious. Let's go to Luoyang first. Su Chen frowned slightly and said. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 762, Secret Planning, Sima Changhan's Cruel Cyanide 9 Poison Water. Luoyang City Luoyang Escort Agency has now become a mess, with a strong smell of charcoal. There is also a hint of blood in the charcoal smell. On the street outside, some pedestrians looked at Luoyang Escort Agency and pointed. In the inn opposite the escort agency, a middle-aged man in a grey robe, with a calm breath, and no breath fluctuations, looked at the ruined Luoyang Escort Agency in the distance with a gloomy expression. Next to him was a man in brocade clothes, with sharp eyes. Second brother is dead. The plan is the same as the second brother arranged, but there is an extra Renkai from Cheyenne Pavilion. He took away the sword box and killed all the remaining people. The brocade man next to him said. Second brother did this. Why didn't you tell me in advance? The middle-aged man in a grey robe said in a deep voice. It was the second brother who didn't let me. Big brother, this is your chance to become the overlord of Luoyang County. The brocade man next to him said. The overlord of Luoyang County, the Jiang who is turbulent. We do want to occupy a place, but we can't make such sacrifices. The grey-robed man said in a deep voice. Brother, now that the matter has been done, we can only move on. The brocade-clothed man said. Next, you return to my side. The grey-robed man then said. The previous plan was that I would return to your side, but now the people who went to kill my second brother have been killed by Renkai Anxing. Baimochanov, Xianchen Palace, probably won't suspect me. I'd better stay with Baimochan to keep track of their whereabouts. The brocade-clothed man said. From their conversation, we can know that the grey-robed man is Sima Changhan, the head of Luoyang Escort Agency. The brocade-clothed man is Lin Xiaoshan, the deputy palace master of Xianchen Palace. I didn't expect Renkai Anxing to help us, but this Renkai Anxing came to Holy Sword Lake with a sword box on his back. Why do you say? Sima Changhan said. I'm afraid they want to use the Holy Sword Lake to increase the prestige of their Cheyenne Pavilion in Luoyang County. They probably have ideas about Luoyang County and may become your enemy. From the information we got, he should have been at the Taoist temple that night. He should know a lot of information. We need to be on guard against him. Lin Zioshan said in a deep voice. I will arrange someone to contact him. The sword box itself is the escort of my Luoyang escort agency. I spent a lot of money to see if he is willing to return the sword box. If he is willing to return it, then it means that the other party came to Luoyang City just to enter the Holy Sword Lake. If he doesn't return it, then he has other purposes. Send someone to use the Holy Sword Lake to suppress the other party and see how he reacts. Go back and pay attention to Beimochen's movements. He should not be willing to let his son be killed like this. Sima Changhan said. Okay. Lin Zioshan nodded, put on his hat, and turned to leave the room. After Lin Zio left, an old man in a green robe walked in from outside the room. Tang Lai, one of the 4 masters of the Luoyang escort agency. The sword box belongs to my Luoyang escort agency. You arrange for someone to contact Ren Qianxing and spend a lot of money to see if he is willing to hand over the sword box. If he is not willing, you can use the name of Holy Sword Lake to pressure him and see how he reacts. Sima Changhan said. I'll go right away. Tang Lai took the order and turned to leave the room. Sima Changhan was the only one left in the room. After a while, the door was opened. A woman in a purple dress with a beautiful face and a curvy figure walked in. Although the woman had a proud figure and a delicate face, she did not have any coquettishness. Instead, she exuded a subtle elegance, and her face also revealed an expression of keeping people away, or inspiring and inviolable, pure and innocent. Seeing the woman, Sima Changhan's eyes roamed over her body, and then he said, you are here. What's going on over there at Holy Sword Lake? Holy Sword Lake has received the news of Lu Kunlun's death, and also knows the calculations of Xianchen Palace and Yanluo Palace, but the Swordmaster did not move, but went to the center of Holy Sword Lake to retreat, waiting for Holy Sword Lake to open. The purple-skirted woman said, waiting for Holy Sword Lake to open. What does he mean by this? Does he not want to avenge his son's revenge? Hearing this, Sima Changhan frowned slightly. When Sima Changhan frowned, the purple-skirted woman who came over slowly walked behind him, raised her slender jade hands, placed them on Sima Changhan's shoulders, and slowly massaged. The woman's skills are very high. Sima Changhan's frowned brows slightly relaxed. My lord, there are rumors in Holy Sword Lake that the Swordmaster Sword Heart has reached the final stage in recent years. I feel that his sword heart has fluctuated this time, so he entered the center of Holy Sword Lake to retreat. He wants to stabilize his sword heart before taking action. Although the Swordmaster did not move, the left and right Swordmasters of Holy Sword Lake have come to Luoyang City. I came with them. They asked me to investigate your whereabouts and want to see you. The woman said. Left and right Swordmasters of Holy Sword Lake? Sima Changhan frowned slightly. Maybe we can use them to fight Beimocchen and others, and maybe we can both lose. Sima Changhan then smiled. My lord, do you know the whereabouts of Beimocchen and others? Hearing Sima Changhan's words, the woman couldn't help but ask. They failed to kill me last night. Do you think they will leave Luoyang City? Sima Changhan said coldly. This is their current address. You can tell the left and right Swordmasters of Holy Sword Lake. No matter what, as long as they meet, the left and right Swordmasters cannot leave Luoyang City alive. This is the Taiyin 9 poison water. As long as you inhale a drop, even the strong men in the sea will burst and die. Sima Changhan had a white jade bottle in his hand and handed it to the woman. Master, don't worry, I will complete the task. The woman took the jade bottle in her hand and bowed. After this is done, you can come back to me. Sima Changhan said. Although the status of the left and right Swordmasters in Holy Sword Lake is not ordinary, the master needs to get rid of the old man Huo first if he wants to take over Holy Sword Lake. The woman said. Old man Huo is very unusual. If you attack him, there is only one result, you die. Do as I tell you. Sima Changhan said. I understand. The woman bowed and left the room. After the woman left, Sima Changhan's plain eyes revealed a gleam of light. From this, we can see the horror of Sima Changhan, and his calculations are deeper. In another underground secret room, 2 people were sitting. One of them was wearing brocade clothes, exuding a sense of majesty, with a resolute face and sad eyes. He looked about 40 years old. The other one was wearing black clothes, with a thin face, a high nose bridge, and a clear outline of the whole person. At this moment, his eyes were a little gloomy. Master Bei, you said that Xiaolixu really calculated this matter of mine, or someone among us leaked the news. The gloomy man said. From his words, we can know that the man in brocade clothes is Bei Mochen, the master of Xianchen Palace. The man in black who spoke was the master of Yanluo Palace. They led people to attack Luoyang escort agency last night and killed many people, but they did not find Sima Changhan, the boss of Luoyang escort agency. I'm not interested in Luoyang escort agency now. I want to kill Ren Qiangxing. Bei Mochen's eyes burst with murderous intent. Chapter 763, Holy Sword Lake, Left and Right Sword Masters, Heavenly Net Pull. Brother Bei, I also want to kill Ren Qiangxing, but if you and I go to kill Ren Qiangxing now, it will be more trouble than gain. We should find Sima Changhan first, kill him, and truly take down the Luoyang escort agency, so as to be on par with Holy Sword Lake. In this way, we can gather all our strength to deal with Ren Qiangxing, said the Lord of Yama Palace. Hearing the words of the Lord of Yama Palace, Bei Mochen frowned. This time, the plan that was originally perfect made him lose his only son, and the layout of more than 10 years was destroyed, and he had to face Holy Sword Lake. This is Luoyang City, Sima Changhan's territory. It is difficult for us to find Sima Changhan who is hiding. Moreover, we may be found by Sima Changhan in this place. Bei Mochen said in a deep voice. It is a bit difficult, but Sima Changhan can't hide forever. I got the news that the left and right swordsmen of Holy Sword Lake have arrived in Luoyang City. Do you think Sima Changhan will seize this opportunity? Said the Lord of Yama Palace. This is his chance to turn the tables. I think he will seize it. But if the left and right sword masters of Holy Sword Lake are here, it will be difficult for us to take down Sima Changhan. Bei Mochen said in a deep voice. There is a secret method in Yama Palace that can control people's minds. As long as we capture the left and right sword masters of Holy Sword Lake first, we can use them to lure out Sima Changhan. Yama Palace Master said. Hearing Yama Palace Master's words, Bei Mochen's eyes flashed with a gleam of brilliance. Then I will notify Deputy Palace Master Lin to come back, and we will attack together. Bei Mochen said. There is no need for Deputy Palace Master Lin to take action. You and I can take them down together. I have already arranged it. Yama Palace Master said. Do you suspect Deputy Palace Master Lin? Hearing Yama Palace Master's words, Bei Mochen looked at him with a fixed look. In Xianchen Palace, I only trust Brother Bei. I don't trust anyone else. They are all suspects. Yama Palace Master said. Okay, then follow your plan. Bei Mochen said. Then let's go meet the left and right sword masters of Holy Sword Lake. After saying this, the Lord of Yama turned around and pushed open the stone door. Bei Mochen followed him and left. At this time, in another place, two people wearing Holy Sword Lake robes appeared in a remote forest outside the city. The surrounding mountains and forests were dense, and there was no one. Sima Changhan asked us to meet here. He is really a bit timid. Is he really afraid of Bei Mochen? One of them said. The Luoyang escort agency was burned down. Xiaolixu, Qinmeng, and Zhu Xianlei were all killed. Now he has only Tang Lai by his side. Tang Lai's martial arts are only the Danshan transformation C. They can't compare with Xianchen Palace at all now. If I didn't need to rely on his power to find Bei Mochen, I wouldn't want to meet him at all. Another person said. These two people are the left and right messengers of Holy Sword Lake. Time passed little by little. The two showed impatience on their faces. It seems that Sima Changhan is playing tricks on us. Let's go back first. One person said. Just when his voice fell, two figures walked out from the darkness. They were wearing masks and black robes, so their faces and figures could not be seen clearly. Sima Changhan, did you ask us to come? Seeing the two figures appear, their eyes fixed, and one of them spoke. Left Sword Master, I'm not Sima Changhan. One of them said. You are not Sima Changhan. Who are you? The left Sword Master's eyes turned cold, and then his face became cold and fierce. His right hand fell on the hilt of the long sword, and a sharp sword intent burst out from the left Sword Master. The right Sword Master on the other side also burst out with a sword intent. The two sword intents rushed to the sky, and the surroundings suddenly became murderous. They had a bad premonition in their hearts. They looked at each other. The long sword in the left sword master's hand was unsheathed in an instant, and the sword light was sharp. In the sharpness, a terrifying murderous intent condensed and swept towards one of them. This was pure sword energy, without the use of divine power. The first sword was just to test who the other party was. Boom. One of the men in black attacked, raised his palm, and a terrifying bloody aura of Shura spread out. The terrifying palm force collided with the opponent's sword energy. The two forces collided, setting off a huge aura ripple, spreading in all directions, shattering many of the surrounding trees. Yanluo Palace Master Weni Dongjun, it's you. After the attack, the left sword envoy looked at the other party with a serious expression. I didn't expect that the left sword envoy would guess my identity with just one attack. Yanluo Palace Master Weni Dongjun took off the mask on his face. Beimochan, you should take it off too. The left sword envoy said to the other person. But Beimochan didn't take off his mask. Weni Dongjun, what do you want to do by inviting us here? The left sword envoy looked at Weni Dongjun and said, I want you to help me lure out Sima Changhan. Weni Dongjun said, lure out Sima Changhan? This is Sima Changhan's territory. He is hiding and won't come out. It's hard for us to find him, but if you invite him with your identities, I think he will come out. Because he is also waiting for you and is ready to join forces with your Holy Sword Lake to deal with Xianshan Palace and my Yanluo Palace. Weni Dongjun said. Yanluo Palace Master, it is rumored that your Danshan was shattered by Emperor Zhao. After so many years, your strength has not fully recovered. You and Beimochan want to take us down. The right sword master said coldly beside him. My strength has not fully recovered, but sometimes, it's not just about being strong. Do you know why I invited you here, and why you haven't shown up so late? That's because I set up Yanluo Kainain of my Yanluo Palace here. When you were circulating your true ki just now, Yanluo Kainain has entered your body. I just revealed my true appearance to attract your attention, so that you ignore the changes in your true ki. It's too late for you to notice it now. Weni Dongjun said coldly. You go, I'll cover you. At this time, the left sword master said to the right sword master beside him. As he spoke, the sword intent of the left sword master burst out, and he didn't care about the heavenly Eluo Kainain in his body at all, and the long sword in his hand tightened the scabbard again. Divine power, wind, and cloud sword movement boom. The left sword master, the divine power burst out. The next moment, an extremely sharp sword energy storm appeared in the surrounding space. This sword energy storm cut through the air and tore the surrounding space. Cut. With a sword slash, the hurricane-like sword energy instantly swept towards the two masters of the Yama Palace. I'll stop him. You go stop the right sword master. Divine power, Yama Heavenly Prison, the Yama Palace Master shouted, and a terrifying divine power burst out from his body, and a black aura enveloped the surroundings. And he slapped out with his palm blood evil cold dark palm. The palm slapped out, and the terrifying cold air condensed into a dark opponent, colliding with the sword energy storm. Bang! The two forces collided, and the surrounding energy dissipated. The left swordsman's expression froze, and he wanted to use the second sword, but a mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth, and the true energy in his body was as heavy as a mountain, so he couldn't use it at all. Whoosh! The Lord of Yama Palace appeared in front of him, and his palm fell down, and the left swordsman's eyes went black. Chapter 764, the Lord of Yama Palace, Weni Dongjun, and the left and right sword masters died. On the other side, the right sword envoy did not escape far. He was brought back by Beimochan. There is a ruined temple not far away. Brother Bei, help me protect the law. I will control their minds, said the Lord of Yama Palace. The two grabbed the two and headed towards a ruined temple not far away. Not long after, two figures walked out of the ruined temple. They were the left and right envoys of Holy Sword Lake. Their eyes were a little blurry, and their auras were also very unstable. At this moment, in a small courtyard, you said that the left and right envoys were asked out by Sima Changhan. The purple-skirted woman who had met Sima Changhan before said to the sword-wielding young man in front of her. Yes, Uncle Ling, Master and the others went to see Sima Changhan. The sword-wielding young man lowered his head and did not dare to look at the other person. But he seemed to want to see him and wanted to raise his head from time to time. Hearing the young man's words, the purple-skirted woman's face changed slightly. She had just met Sima Changhan, and Sima Changhan could not have asked the left and right envoys to meet. Who is it? The purple-skirted woman pondered, but then her expression slightly changed. Sima Changhan couldn't be. It could only be Bei Mochen, who was still in Luoyang City. They had arranged for the two sword masters. Suddenly, she had a bad feeling in her heart. How long has your master been out? Half a day? Do you know where they went? Jiuligang outside the city. The sword-wielding young man said. There is no one there, only a forest. Could it be that Bei Mochen and the others want to attack the left and right sword masters? The purple-skirted woman thought to herself. Uncle Leng, I think my master will be back soon. The sword-wielding young man saw the purple-skirted woman pondering and couldn't help but say. The purple-skirted woman looked up at the sword-wielding young man. Xiaofan, do I look good? The purple-skirted woman suddenly spoke. The sword-wielding young man looked up at the purple-skirted woman. The purple-skirted woman's eyes flickered. The sword-wielding young man felt his mind moved for a while, and then his eyes became confused. You go to the small courtyard next door for a while, the purple-skirted woman said. When the sword-wielding young man heard what the girl from Zigwan said, his eyes were blurred, and he walked out of the courtyard like a robot. The purple-skirted girl immediately walked into the house. She took out the Taiyin poisoned water that Sima Changhan had given her earlier and ripped it into the kettle in the house. Then she walked out of the house. When she walked out of the house, two figures walked in from the door. They looked pale, as if their minds were severely damaged, and they were vaguely injured. Meet the left and right envoys. The purple-skirted girl saluted the two. Junior Sister Leng, how is your investigation going? Have you found Sima Changhan? The left sword envoy saw the purple-skirted girl, and said with some doubt in his eyes. I have found the whereabouts of Tang Lai, the fourth boss of the Luoyang escort agency. I haven't contacted them for the time being. I came back to report to the two sword envoys. I just heard from Xiaofan that the two sword envoys went to see Sima Changhan. The purple-skirted girl said calmly. Hearing this, the two did not speak, but walked into the house. We were ambushed by Bei Mochen, and were hit by Qianluo Qianayin of Wei Dungeon of Yama Palace. We need to force the poison out, the left sword envoy said. Hearing this, the eyes of the purple-skirted woman following behind them moved slightly. By the way, what about Xiaofan? The left sword envoy did not see the young man with a sword in the courtyard, so he spoke. He just went out. Call him back later, the purple-skirted woman said. Entering the house, the two sat down. The left sword envoy poured himself a cup of tea and the right sword envoy another cup of tea. Watching the two people pouring water, the purple-skirted woman lowered her head, and a gleam of light flashed in her eyes. The two drank the 2 cups of tea without any suspicion. But at the moment of drinking, the true energy in the two people suddenly began to violently. They were already injured, and blood spurted out of their mouths. This tea is poisonous. The two wanted to use their ki to resist, but the ki in their bodies was simply out of control. Bang, bang, bang. The ki in their bodies kept exploding. At the moment the ki exploded, their eyes became deep. What's going on? Why are we here? Just as they uttered these words, black blood kept overflowing from the corners of their mouths, and then their whole bodies fell to the ground. It's a pity that the left and right sword users of Holy Sword Lake were poisoned twice in one day. Looking at the two people lying on the ground, the woman in purple skirt showed a puzzled look on her face. Her brows frowned slightly. Although the poison of Taiyin poison water is very strong, the two people should not have died so tragically so soon. Immediately investigate carefully. Not only are there toxins remaining in the body, but the mind is also severely damaged. In the end, they seem to be awake. It seems that their minds are controlled by the people of Yanluo Palace, and they want them to do things. What a pity. Then the woman in purple skirt tidied up the house again. She grabbed the bodies of the two men and their swords, took them out of the yard, put them in a carriage outside the yard, and drove the carriage to Jiuligang outside the city. Do things in a complete way. These two people can only die in Jiuligang. There should be traces of fighting there. In the evening, the woman in purple skirt and the young man with a sword appeared in Jiuligang. Uncle Ling, do you think Master and the others will be in trouble? The young man with a sword was worried. Let's wait and see, said the woman in purple skirt. The two searched in the forest and soon came to the place of the battle. Uncle Master, here. After a while, the young man with a sword found two places on the ground where flesh and blood were broken and shouted with a change of face. The woman in purple skirt quickly came to the man with a sword. This is the sword of the sword user. This, the woman in purple skirt said with a change of face. Master and the others are in trouble. What should we do? The young man holding the sword had never encountered such a thing, and his expression was a little panicked. Contact the general manager immediately and inform the general manager of this matter, said the woman in purple skirt. Yes, contact the general manager immediately, said the young man holding the sword. The news that the left and right sword masters of Holy Sword Lake died in Jiulagang outside Loyang City quickly spread to Holy Sword Lake and also spread in Loyang City. Chen, who was heading to Loyang City, was slightly stunned when he heard the news. He didn't expect that the two sword masters of Holy Sword Lake would die in just one day. What is the status of the left and right sword masters of Holy Sword Lake in Holy Sword Lake? Chen asked. The left and right sword masters are appointed by the sword master of Holy Sword Lake. Their power is below that of the sword master, and they are at the same level as the general manager of Holy Sword Lake. However, the strong men of Holy Sword Lake, except for the strongest sword master, should be the 5 elders who practice in Sword Tomb. It's just that the 5 elders are all secluded and hard to see. Many Zuanshang said. So that's how it is. I thought they were so powerful. Chen couldn't help but shook his head. The people from the Loyang escort agency stopped Ren Kaiangsing, and it seemed that they wanted Ren Kaiangsing to hand over the sword box. Let's go and take a look. At this time, there was a sound of conversation and galloping outside the carriage. The Loyang escort agency showed up and asked Ren Kaiangsing to hand over the sword box. Chen frowned slightly. The Loyang escort agency showed up at this time and asked Ren Kaiangsing to hand over the sword box. What is their mentality? Chapter 765. Chen, Lan Yuhao, Kan Junmo. Let's go and have a look, Chen said to Yuan Suan who was driving. When they arrived, many people had gathered in front. Ren Kaiangsing was carrying a sword case, and in front of him stood 5 escorts carrying the 5 color flags of the Loyang escort agency. Deputy Pavilion Master Ren, the sword case belongs to the Holy Sword Lake. Please give it to us, and I will send it to the Holy Sword Lake, the leading man said. Don't block my way. Ren Kaiangsing looked indifferent and continued to move forward. In his eyes, even if the Lord of the Holy Sword Lake came, he would not be able to take the sword case away. Deputy Pavilion Master Ren, you. Seeing that Ren Kaiangsing did not take them seriously, the leading man's face changed, and his eyes looked at the other 4. Seeing this, the 4 people moved and wanted to surround Ren Kaiangsing. But when they moved, Ren Kaiangsing's figure had turned into a residual shadow and disappeared in front of them, appeared behind them. The 5 people's expressions changed, and they wanted to turn around, but suddenly they looked painful. Bang, 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 bang. The 5 people turned around, and their ki exploded. The whole person turned into a ball of flesh and blood, leaving only the horrified head, falling on the ground. What a strong murderous intention. Seeing this scene, the faces of the people watching changed drastically, and then they dispersed one after another. After the people left one after another, only Chen and his carriage were left. Just when Chen ordered the carriage to move forward, a figure appeared and landed in front of the 5 heads. He raised his hand to grab one of them, and when he tied the head in his palm, a burst of ki burst out from the head. The person who appeared quickly threw the head out. Bang! The head exploded. So powerful. I didn't expect that. Cheyenne Pavilion still has such a strong young master. The figure who appeared spoke. He noticed it quickly. This person is not simple, Chen said as he looked at the figure in front of him. Kian Junmo, I heard that your Zenwu garden was destroyed. Did you flee to Jiangnan? At this time, a voice came from afar. With the voice, a luxurious carriage quickly came towards this side. The carriage stopped. A figure walked out of the carriage. It was Lan Yuhao who appeared in Jiangnan. Lan Yuhao, I didn't expect you to come here too. I thought you were enjoying the romance in Sucheng. Are you also interested in Jiang's and Tongming grass? Qian Junmo looked at Lan Yuhao and said coldly. It's not that I'm interested, but I know you are interested. You need Jiang's and Tongming grass. If you are interested and need something, I need it. Lan Yuhao looked at Qian Junmo and said coldly. Lan Yuhao, it seems that you are looking for trouble with me this time. It seems that we had to fight after all. Qian Junmo looked at Lan Yuhao and said, I'm not interested in fighting with you, but I brought you a lot of opponents. I don't know if your protectors can stop them. Lan Yuhao looked at Qian Junmo and said, Qian Junmo, Marquis Lan Yu? On the carriage, Su Chen was slightly stunned when he heard the conversation between the two. Marquis Lan Yu was specially appointed by Emperor Zhao. It is rumored that he has a background above Xianmen. Qian Junmo is the eldest disciple of the master of Zen Wood Garden. It is also rumored that he has a background above Xianmen. Many Zuanshang said. Marquis Lan Yu, it is rumored that the 7th prince wanted to win him over. But this Marquis Lan Yu proposed to let Lai Yangxiang, the daughter of the Lai family, become his concubine. He is a very domineering person in the capital, and his reputation is not very good. Many Zuanshan continued. It seems that he has an extraordinary background above Xianmen. Su Chen narrowed his eyes and looked at Marquis Lan Yu. He was handsome, exuding a dandy atmosphere, and his internal energy was strong. I'm afraid that he has reached the level of Dunshan Huahei. Of course, Su Chen did not know whether he had divine power or not, and he could not sense divine power. This person is not simple. His strength may be above Dunshan Huahei. If you meet him, you should be careful. Su Chen said. As if sensing Su Chen's gaze, Lan Yuhao looked towards Su Chen. However, he only glanced at Su Chen, and finally his eyes fell on the faces of Zhuang Zuanji and Mei Zuanshan. Then he looked at Su Chen again, with a puzzled look on his face. Qian Junmo on the other side saw Lan Yuhao looking at Su Chen. He couldn't help but look at Su Chen. But he didn't know Su Chen, and he had some impression of Mei Zuanshan. At this moment, Lan Yuhao jumped and appeared in front of Su Chen's carriage. Brother, although you have some scholarly air, your appearance is ordinary. Why are there two beauties accompanying you? Lan Yuhao looked at Su Chen and said. Hearing Lan Yuhao's words, Su Chen's expression was slightly startled. He thought that Lan Yuhao came to him for something. Unexpectedly, he asked such a strange question. This Lan Yuhao is interesting. Su Chen thought to himself. What's the problem? It's just personal charm, but it's not as good as you, brother, with 4 beauties around you. While Su Chen was talking, he spread his hands and hugged Mei Zuanshan and Zhuang Zuanji in his arms. You don't want me to lose face in front of Lan Yuhao, do you? While hugging the two, Su Chen sent a message to Zhuang Zuanji and Mei Zuanshan. The two wanted to struggle, but after hearing Su Chen's words, they didn't struggle for a while and let Su Chen hold them in his arms. Fellow travelers, are you also going to the Holy Sword Lake? I wonder if we can go together. Lan Yuhao said. We are going to the Holy Sword Lake. They want to enter the Holy Sword Lake and see the traces of the sword masters, so they came here. Since Brother Lan wants to invite you, we can go together. I'm Su Chen. Su Chen said. Su Chen, the young leader of the Qinglang Society? Lan Yuhao looked at Su Chen and said. I didn't expect that Lan Yuhao knew my reputation. Su Chen said softly. Wow, I didn't expect you to be such a ruthless person. Rumor has it that you killed someone's father and took someone's daughter. You are really a style of my generation. I'm preparing to learn from you, Brother Su. Lan Yuhao's eyes showed admiration. Su Chen's brows darkened. Brother Su, I have no ill intentions. I absolutely admire you. These are 2 pieces of Nanhaling Lang jade I just got, and I'd give them to my 2 sisters-in-law as a gift. Lan Yuhao immediately took out 2 jade pendants from his arms and handed them to Su Chen. Su Chen was stunned when he heard this. Nanhaling Lang jade is said to nourish the face and help the wearer to sort out the true ki in the body. It is a rare treasure. Lan Yuhao gave 2 pieces at once, which was really generous. Su Chen took the jade pendant. Obtaining the best Nanhaling Lang jade can nourish the wearer's face and help the practitioner improve the internal ki. Reward 1 orange lottery card. I didn't expect it to be top grade and inhaling long jade. Not bad. This Lan Yu Hao is not bad. Let's go. Don't delay on the road, so as not to affect pedestrians. Su Chen said. No problem, brother Su. I have a private manor in Luoyang City. When we arrive in Luoyang, I will take you to visit my manor. In my manor, there are 72 singing girls. Not only are they beautiful in dance, but they are also beautiful in singing. Lan Yu Hao said. After arriving in Luoyang, I will definitely go to your manor. Okay. Lan Yu Hao returned to his carriage without looking at Qian Junmo again, and let the carriage follow Su Chen away. Qian Junmo, who stayed on the road, had a gloomy look in his eyes. He had never been ignored like this before. Su Chen, the young leader of the Qinglang Society. I didn't expect that people from the Qinglang Society would also come to the Holy Sword Lake. He murmured in his mouth, and his figure went to another place. Chapter 766, Holy Sword Lake, Swordmaster Lu Wujian, Sword to Crazy, Momentary Beauty. Holy Sword Lake is a huge lake. There is a small island on the lakeside, named Jiangxin Island, which is the forbidden area of Holy Sword Lake. Every time it is open to the public, it is this Jiangxin Island. However, Holy Sword Lake is not on the small island, but on the lakeside. A huge manor. Inside the manor, an old man in a green shirt. His face was extremely gloomy. The son of the swordmaster of Holy Sword Lake just died, and now the left and right swordmasters are also dead. Now Holy Sword Lake has a big drop in reputation in Jiangnan. Do you know who killed the left and right swordmasters? The old man looked at the man in white sword robe in front of him and said, General Manager, I went to the place where the accident happened to investigate. According to the investigation, there should be 2 people who took action. Judging from the blood on the ground, they were poisoned. In the blood remaining on the ground, I found 2 kinds of poisons. One is Heavenly Year 9 poisoned water, and the other is Heavenly Luo Iron. The man in the white sword robe replied. From the words of the man in the white sword robe, we can know that the old man in the green shirt is Huo Xian'an, the general manager of Holy Sword Lake. Xian'an 9 poisoned water, and Xianluo Qian'an, Xianluo Pool, but it is one of the unique poisons of Yanluo Palace. Could it be that someone from Yanluo Palace did it? Hearing this, Huo Xian'an's eyes condensed, and he said in a deep voice, yes, the 2 sword users should have been hit by Xianluo Qian'an first, and then Xian'an 9 poisoned water, and then the terrifying energy shattered their bodies. The man in the white sword robe said, this matter reveals a sense of strangeness. If it was someone from Yanluo Palace, then if they were hit by Xianluo Qian'an, they could kill 2 people, while let them be hit by Xian'an 9 poison water again. Huo Xian'an frowned slightly and said, this subordinate does not understand it for the time being. It may be a deliberate trap set by Yanluo Palace, said the man in the white sword robe. Hearing what the man in the white sword robe said, Huo Xian'an frowned slightly. Something was strange, and he didn't understand why the other party did this, because there was no need to do this. The son of the swordmaster died at the hands of the Yanluo Palace and Xianchen Palace, and they had already become enemies. There was no need to destroy the bodies and traces when killing 2 swordmasters. He didn't understand it for a while. Have the others who went to Luoyang City contacted Sima Changhan of the Luoyang Escort Agency? Huo Xian'an asked. After thinking for a moment, Leng Qiuan sent a message that the whereabouts of Tang Lai of the Luoyang Escort Agency were found, and they are asking whether to contact the other party. The man in the white sword robe said, now there are only Sima Changhan and Tang Lai left in the Luoyang Escort Agency. If we find Tang Lai, we should be able to find Sima Changhan. Let Qiuan contact Sima Changhan as soon as possible, said the steward Huo Xian'an with a frown. I understand, steward. There is one more thing, that is, the Luoyang Escort Agency sent people to stop Ren Qiangxing of Xian'an Pavilion, wanting to take back the sword box, but was killed by Ren Qiangxing. I'm afraid that Ren Qiangxing of Xian'an Pavilion has come with bad intentions. Steward, should we arrange someone to stop Ren Qiangxing and ask him to hand over the sword box? The man in the white sword robe spoke. Not for the time being, the sword box is safest with him. When we arrive at Holy Sword Lake, we will weigh the opponent's capabilities. Now we should find Baymochan of Xianxin Palace and the people of Yama Palace and contact Sima Changhan as soon as possible. He will definitely be able to find Baymochan and the people of Yama Palace. The steward Huo Xianayan ordered. Yes. The man in the white sword robe took the order and left the hall. After the man left, Huo Xianayan's eyes became solemn. Things became a little tricky. After pondering for a moment, he turned and left. After a while, Huo Xianayan appeared in a secret room. On the cushion in the secret room, a man in a golden sword robe was sitting cross-legged on the cushion. It was Lu Wujian, the sword master of this generation of Holy Sword Lake. It was rumored that the person who entered the center of Holy Sword Lake for a treat was unexpectedly in this secret room. When Huo Xianayan entered the secret room, Lu Wujian, who was wearing a golden robe, opened his eyes. "How is the investigation going?" Lu Wujian said. "Swordmaster, the left and right sword users were killed. After being hit by Xianluo Qianayan of the Yama Palace, they were hit by Xianayan Jiudu water. The cause of death is a bit strange. I feel that there are several hands in the dark, plotting against my Holy Sword Lake," said Huo Xianayan, the general manager. "Let them jump around for a few days, and when the investigation is clear, I will kill them with one sword." Has Kunlun's body been brought back? All the bodies that could be brought back from the Taoist temple have been brought back. Kunlun's body was examined personally by his subordinates. Kunlun's right hand was first poisoned, and then he cut off his arms, and finally used them to refine the 7-star sword box. Judging from the sword marks on his chest, it is indeed the sword in Shihanshan's hand. Shihanshan and the others were indeed killed by Ren Qianxing with a single sword. Swordmaster, Ren Qianxing's swordsmanship is extremely sharp. Judging from the wounds on Zulu Osha and the others, he must have been killed with one strike. Is this person's strength probably close to being shattered? And according to the information we have investigated, this person is definitely in his 20s, and is definitely not from the older generation. The general manager Huo Xianayan said. "So young? It seems that he has an extraordinary background." The swordmaster frowned slightly. "What is Ren Qianxing doing now? Carrying a sword case and coming to my Holy Sword Lake. You probably want to challenge my Holy Sword Lake openly," Huo Xianayan said. "This is an opponent. Such an opponent is worthy of respect. Those who hide in the dark will be cut off as soon as they show their claws and teeth. You take my swordmaster's order and go to Jiangxin Island. Let Giant Heichi go to Xianxin Palace and allow him to use momentary fragrance. I want Xianxin Palace to disappear from the Jiangnan world tomorrow. I want people to know that the reputation of my Holy Sword Lake does not rely on reputation, but on the sword in my hand." The swordmaster said in a cold tone. Hearing this, Huo Xianayan's expression moved slightly. He knew that the swordmaster was murderous. "Subordinates, do it immediately. Go, investigate those black hands as soon as possible." After the swordmaster finished speaking, he continued to close his eyes. For swordmasters, the sword is subjective and can be ruthless and ruthless. The death of a loved one cannot affect the sword heart of these swordmasters. The swordmaster, the lord of the Holy Sword Lake, has comprehended the sword heart of killing. How could his sword heart be unstable? It's all for others to see. Holy Sword Lake. The central island. The steward Huo Xianayan appeared in front of a cave. It was very peaceful outside the cave. But when Huo Xianayan stepped into the cave, his figure paused. In his mind, a terrifying sword intent appeared, and his face changed slightly. The sword intent attracts the mind, and the sword intent has increased again. Sword is too stupid. Xianxin Palace is plotting against my Holy Sword Lake. The sword master orders you to go to Xianxin Palace, destroy Xianxin Palace, and allow you to use momentary fragrance, Huo Xianayan said. Allow me to use momentary fragrance. The sword master's murderous intention is a bit heavy. A low voice sounded in the cave, and a man in black with a thin face walked out. The man looked like a middle-aged man, but had white hair, and a sword light flashed in the depths of his eyes, like the reflection of sword energy. Kunlun was killed. It was a trap set by Xianjun Palace and Yanluo Palace. Huo Xian'an said in a deep voice. Kunlun is dead. Xianjun Palace will not exist after tomorrow. After that, the figure turned into a residual shadow in front of Huo Xian'an. Chapter 767. Xianjun Palace. Battle. Swords rise. After tomorrow, there will be no Xianjun Palace. Blood spilled on the sword. Blood flowed like a river. Huo Xian'an sighed and turned to leave. At this moment, in a secret room in Luoyang City. How could the left and right sword masters of this holy sword lake die? Bei Mochen frowned, looked at the Lord of Yama Palace Wei Dongjun, and said, "It shouldn't be, they have obviously returned to the city. Could it be that someone followed them and killed them?" The Lord of Yama Palace Wei Dongjun said in a deep voice. "That's the only way to say it. It seems that it is unlikely to lead Sima Chang'an out through the people of Holy Sword Lake. We still have to do it ourselves. But Brother Wei, I really want to know why you care so much about Sima Chang'an." Bei Mochen looked at the Lord of Yama Palace and said, "You and I are now allies. I hope Brother Wei can be honest with each other." Hearing Bei Mochen's words, the eyes of Wei Dongjun of Yama Palace condensed slightly. After thinking for a moment, he said, "Since Brother Bei said so, I won't hide it. Sima Chang'an has something from my Yama Palace. That thing is very important to me, so I must get it. As for what it is, it's not convenient to tell Brother Bei for the time being. I believe Brother Bei will see it when the time comes." Wei Dongjun said, "So that's the case. Then I won't ask any more questions. It's just that I have a bad feeling in my heart. The Holy Sword Lake is a little too quiet, which is a bit unlike the style of the Sword Master." Bei Mochen said in a deep voice, "You are worried about the Sword Master." He didn't move, which means that there is indeed something wrong with his sword heart. He shouldn't do anything to you, Xianjun Palace, for the time being. What's more, your Xianjun Palace's Grand Ancestor Xianjingchen has come out of retreat and is in charge of Xianjun Palace, so there is no need to worry. Wei Dongjun, the Lord of Yama Palace, said. While the two were talking, Lin Xiaoshan, dressed in brocade, returned to the secret room. "Have you found any trace of Sima Chang'an?" Wei Dongjun, the Lord of Yama Palace, said. "We haven't found out where Sima Chang'an is yet. We have a small number of people in Luoyang, but the people from the Luoyang escort agency showed up and asked Ren Kaiaxing to hand over the sword box in the name of Holy Sword Lake. Ren Kaiaxing killed all 5 people from the escort agency. It seems that his purpose of going to Holy Sword Lake is probably not just to watch the sword art, but also for other purposes." Lin Xiaoshan said. "Brother Wei, our plan this time was ruined by this Ren Kaiaxing. We should surround and kill him." Speaking of Ren Kaiaxing, Bei Mochen's face showed a murderous intent. "Palace Master, we haven't figured out Ren Kaiaxing's strength yet. I'm afraid he will be defeated." Hearing this, Lin Xiaoshan said in a deep voice. "Brother Bei, Deputy Palace Master Lin is right. Ren Kaiaxing killed Zuluosha and others with one sword. His strength is a little unclear. Let's wait and see. Besides, isn't he going to Holy Sword Lake? If this person is unwilling to give up the sword box, Holy Sword Lake will surely ask for it back. Let Holy Sword Lake help us test Ren Kaiaxing's true strength first." Wei Dongjun of Yama Palace said. "Pay close attention to Ren Kaiaxing's whereabouts. Also pay attention to the information from Xianjun Palace." Bei Mochen said. The next day, Xianan City, the second largest city in Luoyang County besides Luoyang City. This is the city occupied by Xianjun Palace. Xianjun Palace has been famous in the martial arts world for hundreds of years. 100 years ago, a man entered the Xianmen, so when the Jiangnan martial arts world was ranked, he was one of the 3 palaces. Xianjun Palace is located on the largest Xianjun mountain outside the city. At the foot of Xianjun Mountain, a man in black is heading to Xianjun Palace. It was Giant Taichi who came from the Holy Sword Lake. He took a look at the top of the mountain and his eyes showed a fierce killing intent. Walking along the mountain road. On the mountain road, 3 disciples wearing Xianjun Palace robes were coming down the mountain. When they saw the man in black, they were about to ask. But the man in black came in front of the 3 people in a blink of an eye. 3 sword ki emerged from his body and pierced through the chests of the 3 people. The 3 Chen Palace disciples fell to the ground without making a sound. Along the way, anyone who came down from Chen Mountain was pierced through the chest by the sword ki. For a while, blood began to flow on the mountain road. Soon, the black-clothed giant Heichi appeared at the gate of Chen Palace. "Who are you?" The disciple guarding the mountain gate immediately asked in a stern voice when he saw Giant Heichi. Giant Heichi raised his finger, and 2 sword lights burst out from his finger, piercing through the 2 disciples guarding the mountain. Enemy attack. At this time, someone saw this situation and shouted immediately. But after the voice fell, the head exploded. The black-clothed giant Heichi continued to move forward. At this moment, his aura did not subside, but burst out, and endless black sword energy burst out from him. Ah! Ah! The disciples of Chen Palace screamed as they were pierced by the sword energy. Soon, Giant Heichi appeared outside the main hall of Chen Palace. "Dare to come to my Chen Palace and be presumptuous, you are looking for death." Chen Mu Chen fist. A figure appeared and punched Giant Heichi. Just when the fist was about to reach Giant Heichi raised his palm and pointed out with one finger, and the thick sword energy pierced through the opponent's body in the blink of an eye. "This seat, Sheng Jianhu, Giant Heichi, today I'm ordered by the sword master to destroy Chen Palace." A deep voice sounded in Chen Palace. "Sheng Jianhu, is that thing true?" Some Chen Palace disciples heard this, and their faces changed drastically. They had heard the recent rumors and were very nervous before, but since there was no movement from Holy Sword Lake, they were relieved. But they didn't expect that people from Holy Sword Lake would come today. "Giant Heichi, you are arrogant, and you want to destroy my Chen Palace by yourself. Today we will kill you first." At this time, 3 figures flew out of Chen Palace. The 3 people had a strong aura and condensed a divine power. These 3 people were 3 seal level spiritual masters. "Kill me, you 3 are not worthy." Giant Heichi spoke in a calm tone, but a divine power began to burst out from his body, and the divine power was like a sharp sword energy and went towards the 3 people who appeared. The divine power on the 3 people was instantly suppressed by this aura. "Since the 3 of you came out to die first, then I will send you off." Giant Heichi raised his arm, and in an instant, an amazing sword energy gathered on his arm. Boom! His arm slashed out. A huge black sword light appeared between heaven and earth, slashing towards the 3 people who appeared. The black sword light covered the sky and the earth. This sword shook the world. "Giant Heichi, you dare!" Inside the hall, an old voice burst out, and with the voice, a figure appeared in front of the 3 people. Thunder Emperor Fist. The figure that appeared punched out, and the huge golden fist shadow collided with the black sword light. "Quickly retreat." The 3 people who appeared earlier shouted, and the surrounding Chen Palace disciples quickly retreated. Boom. A terrifying wave of air swept out. "Chen Jingchen, you are born. Very good." Giant Heichi saw the person who made the move, and his face showed excitement, with a hint of ferocity in his excitement. "Take another sword from me." Giant Heichi shouted fiercely, and the black true energy around him burst out in his body like a furnace. These black true energy formed a huge black sword shadow as his arm was raised. Chapter 768. A moment of splendor, killing everything. Chen Palace is destroyed. Divine power, sword slaughters the world. Giant Heichi burst out his divine power at this moment. Divine power appeared, and a terrifying blood-colored aura appeared above the black sword shadow. The blood-colored aura made the entire sword shadow bloody. The sky was also filled with a blood-colored aura. Everyone outside the entire Chen Palace felt a sense of oppression. Cut. Boom. The black long sword fell, and the extremely terrifying sword light was like a waterfall, attacking Jingxianchen. Divine power, shocking Emperor Fist. Boom. A terrifying golden aura burst out from Jingxianchen's body, and a terrifying dragon shadow appeared in the golden aura. The dragon shadow ascended to the sky, shocking heavenly dragon fist. With a low shout, a punch was thrown, and the golden dragon shadow attacked the sword shadow. Boom. The fists and swords of the two collided again. This time the power storm was even stronger. Giant H, who had made the move, actually retreated at this moment and shouted, "Blood sword slaughters the world." Giant H soared into the air, and a huge blood-colored sword shadow appeared behind him. The appearance of the blood-colored sword shadow made the entire space seem distorted. Swish, swish, the sword shadows kept falling. Ah, ah, ah. The disciples of Chen Palace were constantly pierced through the body under this blood-colored sword rain, and screamed, "Giant H, you." Seeing this, Jing Chen rushed out, and came in front of Giant H in a blink of an eye. When he appeared in front of Giant H showed a strange smile on his face. Moment of beauty. At this time, a strange and dark sword light appeared behind the blood-colored sword shadow. This dark sword light was silent, but in a blink of an eye it turned into a sword light that enveloped Jing Chen. Moment of beauty. You have comprehended the moment of beauty of Holy Sword Lake. The Jing Chen who made the move showed a look of horror on his face, and a terrifying true energy appeared on his body and enveloped him. But the sword light that appeared seemed to have fixed the time and space around. The true energy was like broken glass. The sword light penetrated his body. When the sword light penetrated his body, Jing Chen had no scars on his body, but his original full spirit seemed to dissipate at this moment, and wrinkles appeared on his face. The true energy in his body was also quickly consumed. Swish. At this time, a blood-colored sword light penetrated his body. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted out. The whole body fell to the ground. Colliding with the ground, it raised a cloud of dust. Puff. At this time, the Giant H who had made the move also spurted out a mouthful of blood from his mouth, and his body also fell to the ground. Using the move just now, the instant beauty also consumed a lot of his own energy. This is why he didn't wait for the other party to grow old, but took action to kill the other party. The Giant H who fell to the ground, a burst of sword energy burst out from his palm, instantly piercing through the bodies of the people around him, and then he grabbed all those bodies in his palm. The blood-colored energy poured into his body like a stream of water. He's injured. Kill. Seeing this, the 3C concentrated masters who had appeared earlier rushed towards Giant H. Giant H's face also showed a ferocious look, and he burst out to fight with the 3 people. Because he had consumed too much energy to kill Jing Chen before, he was unable to quickly get rid of the 3 people who were besieging him. Kill. 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 The disciples of Chen Palace also rushed towards Giant H at this time. Momentary beauty at this moment, Giant H attacked again. The strange sword light penetrated everything, but his white hair looked even whiter. Such a sword move is extremely effective for overdrawing life. Swish, swish, the sword energy burst out, and everything around was pierced by the sword energy. Even the 3 people in front of him were pierced by the sword energy. Puff. He spit out blood again, and some wrinkles appeared on his face. How he grabbed the blood in his palm, and the blood around him poured into his body. The wrinkles that had appeared before disappeared quickly. This was to replenish his vitality with blood, and his eyes became more and more crazy. He was ruthless and merciless, killing anyone he saw. Chen Palace was flooded with blood, and only some people who had seen the bad situation escaped from Chen Palace. Luoyang City. Outside the city, 2 carriages stopped. At this time, a maid got off the carriage of Lan Yuhao and came to Su Chen and his carriage. "Young Master Su, the Marquis asked me to ask if you would like to live in the manor with us. I still have some things to do, so I won't go to his manor for the time being. After I finish dealing with things, I will visit Lan Yuhao," Su Chen said. He still has to meet some people and deal with some things, so it is not convenient for him to live in the other party's manor. King Longhu Zhu Yiren and Liu Shengai Jian will arrive in Luoyang City tonight. Zhu Yiren's strength is still a little lacking, and he didn't draw any treasures, so he wanted to fight for Jiangx and Tangming Grass to improve his strength. Young Dragon Chief Su, our lord will host a banquet for some martial arts forces in Luoyang County tomorrow night. Please come to the banquet. Here is the lord's invitation and the lord's token. You can enter the manor directly. The maid saw the token and invitation were brought to Su Chen. "Okay, tell your lord that I will go tomorrow night." Su Chen took the invitation and token and said, "This Lord Lan Yu is good at handling things, so Su Chen also wants to get in touch with him and learn about the situation above the heavenly gate." After all, he knows nothing about the heavenly gate now. After collecting the things, Su Chen separated from the carriage of Lord Lan Yu and entered the city. "Lord, why are you so polite to this young dragon chief Su?" In the carriage of Lord Lan Yu, a purple-clothed maid who was pinching his shoulder said, "Vision, my Lord Lan Yu's strength may be a little poor, but my eyes are extraordinary. This young dragon chief Su has a strong aura. He is not an ordinary person." Lord Lan Yu said, "Let's go to the manor first, and then send me an invitation to invite the heroes of Luoyang. Also transfer the 3 brothers of the Luo family to me. I want to make some trouble for Qian Junmo. Others can take the Jiangx and Tongming grass. Qian Junmo must not take it. I don't know if the Qinglang Society will kill Qian Junmo. Ask Su Xiaolong when you have time." Lang Yuhao said. He and Qian Junmo both came down from the Xianmen. He committed some crimes there and spent a huge price to get here. But not long after he got here, Qian Junmo came down. Over the years, according to his speculation, Qian Junmo should have come down to deal with him. It's just that Qian Junmo hasn't found a way to kill him with one blow yet, so he hasn't done it. So he won't let Qian Junmo have any chance to improve. Let's go back to the manor first and send someone to investigate Qian Junmo's whereabouts. Lang Yuhao said yes. A maid beside him nodded, and her figure secretly got out of the carriage and disappeared in the crowd entering the city. Inside the inn, did the people from Holy Sword Lake destroy the Xianzhen Palace? As soon as he checked into the inn, Yuan Suan brought Su Chen a piece of news that surprised him. Previously, Su Chen had not taken Holy Sword Lake seriously. After all, his son had been killed by someone, and there was no movement at all. How could he make others afraid of him? But he did not expect that such news would appear in just one day. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 769, Subsequent Fermentation. Qian Junmo appears again. Who attacked Holy Sword Lake? Su Chen couldn't help but ask. A man called Giant Heichi, who was said to have gone crazy when he attacked, and Xianzhen Palace was filled with blood, and blood was rising into the sky. This man is still sitting outside Xianzhen Palace, waiting for people from Xianzhen Palace. Yuan Suan said. He destroyed Xianzhen Palace by himself. This Giant Heichi is very powerful. Do you know this man? Su Chen looked at Zhuang Zuanji and Mei Zuanshang, who were standing aside. Zhuang Zuanji shook his head. Mei Zuanshang pondered for a moment and said, "This Giant Heichi became famous 20 years ago. He is the junior brother of Lu Wujian, the sword master of Holy Sword Lake. 20 years ago, this Giant Heichi was obsessed with a sword move called Momentary Beauty in Holy Sword Lake. But this move consumes a lot of life. In order to practice this move, Giant Heichi specially practiced a method of swallowing blood and essence to maintain his own lifespan consumption. However, the blood and essence replenishment could not resist the consumption of sword moves. It is rumored that he has aged because of too many momentary beauty. I didn't expect that he is not dead." Mei Zuanshang said. "This Holy Sword Lake has a great foundation and is much stronger than it appears on the surface. Did Sima Changhan appear?" Su Chen asked afterwards. Holy Sword Lake destroyed Xianzhen Palace. According to reason, Sima Changhan should be able to show up. Compared with Holy Sword Lake, Su Chen is more interested in Sima Changhan, who is hiding in the dark. Being able to make a person like Xiao Lixu sacrifice himself, it can be seen that Sima Changhan is not simple. He has not appeared yet. Now the leader of Luoyang Escort Agency is the 4th leader, Tang Lai. Yuan Suan said. Then find Tang Lai first. I think he should have a way to meet Sima Changhan. This Sima Changhan should have masters around him, or he himself is a very strong master. Otherwise, masters like Xiao Lixu would not sacrifice in vain. The world of martial arts always respects strength. In the end, it depends on whether there is strong strength. Su Chen said. I will continue to investigate. Yuan Suan said. Don't be too anxious. Under the current situation, they will slowly show up. You should focus on cultivation, Chen said to Yuan Suan. The god power card he got earlier was given to Yuan Suan. It has not been long since Yuan Suan broke through the god power. If the god power can be increased, his strength will definitely be improved. I didn't expect that the opening of Holy Sword Lake would cause such a big change in the world of martial arts. It seems that our sword viewing trip this time is not very smooth, Mei Zuanshang said with a sigh. Don't worry, as long as the Holy Sword Lake is open, we will definitely be able to enter the Holy Sword Lake and see the sword tomb of the Holy Sword Lake. You will follow me to the mansion of Lan Yuhao in the evening, Chen said afterwards. Can we not go with him? Mei Zuanshang said. She actually didn't have a good impression of Lan Yuhao. If you don't go, then Zuanji will go with me. Chen glanced at Mei Zuanshang and said to Zuanji. Compared with Mei Zuanshang, Zuanji's mind has been on Chen recently. Then I will also accompany Sister Zuanji, but Lan Yuhao cares so much about you. What do you think he means? Mei Zuanshang said immediately when she heard that Chen was going to take Zuanji, but then immediately changed the subject. No matter what he is, if he has no ill intentions, he is a friend. If he has ill intentions, he is an enemy. I have only one word for enemies, and that is, kill, Chen said coldly. I haven't found any malicious intentions from Lan Yuhao yet, but it seems that Lan Yuhao and Qian Junmo have a grudge. Their grudge should have existed since Xianmen. Do you think Lan Yuhao wants to ask the Qinglang Club to kill Qian Junmo? Zuanji said in a deep voice. Kill Qian Junmo? Qian Junmo is very powerful and has strong people around him. It's not easy to kill him. But if Lan Yuhao pays the corresponding price, we Qinglang Club can also help him kill Qian Junmo. Chen said. Let's go eat something first and listen to what's happening outside, Chen said to Zuanji and Mei Zuanshang. Soon, the waiter of the inn arranged a private room on the second floor where he could hear the conversation of the Jianghu guests in the hall. If Holy Sword Lake hadn't taken action, it would have been fine, but once it took action, it destroyed Xianzhen Palace. I heard that Xianzhen Palace ancestor Jing Xianzhen was killed by Giant Heiqi with a single sword. Giant Heiqi is extremely terrifying, but Giant Heiqi also suffered heavy losses. Rumor has it that he was obsessed with killing at that time and used the momentary fragrance of Holy Sword Lake several times, which consumed a lot of his lifespan. He is still sitting in Xianzhen Palace and has not gone down the mountain. It seems that he is using the essence and blood of the dead strong men of Xianzhen Palace to stabilize his lifespan. Some people were talking. But Xianzhen Palace Master Beimochan is fine and seems to be in Luoyang City. This Beimochan is unlucky. If he hadn't met Jian'ai Pavilion, Ren Qianxing, the news of his plot against Holy Sword Lake would probably not have been known. It's time, it's fate. Speaking of which, Jian'ai Pavilion, Ren Qianxing has not appeared since he came to Luoyang City. I don't know when he will appear. I guess he is waiting for Holy Sword Lake to start. You said he went to Holy Sword Lake with the Holy Sword Lake sword box on his back. Is this a provocation to Holy Sword Lake? Do you think Holy Sword Lake will take action against Ren Qianxing? Some people said. I don't know, but Ren Qianxing may have come to challenge Holy Sword Lake on behalf of Jian'ai Pavilion. Now Jian'ai Pavilion is very powerful, but it has not appeared in my Jiangnan. The Deputy Pavilion Master of the West Pavilion of Jian'ai Pavilion appeared in our Luoyang County. Do you think he wants to take root in our Luoyang City? Some people speculated. It's possible. After all, the two major forces in Luoyang County are now useless. It's normal for the West Pavilion of Jian'ai Pavilion to appear here. Some people nodded. Xianzhen Palace is no longer viable. Even if the Palace Master of Xianzhen Palace, Beimochan, shows up, he is no match for Shengjian Lake. Luoyang Escort Agency may still exist. After all, Sima Changhan of Luoyang Escort Agency is still there. What's the use of Sima Changhan? Xiaolixu is not here. Some people said disdainfully. I didn't expect Sima Changhan to be looked down upon by the people in the martial arts world. When Sima Changhan shows his strength, How can these martial arts people look at him? Su Chen said with a smile. Just as he was speaking, a figure appeared at the door of the inn. Su Chen frowned slightly when he saw this figure. The person who came was Qian Junmo of Zenwood Garden. As if sensing Su Chen's gaze, Qian Junmo nodded at Su Chen, and then a voice sounded in Su Chen's ears. Young Master Su, can I come upstairs and meet you? Su Chen nodded after hearing Qian Junmo's voice transmission. For the time being, the Qinglang Society and Qian Junmo have no grudges. He also wanted to really get to know Qian Junmo. Chapter 770. One drop of demonic blood, Dragon Raw Shield. In the private room, the smell of sandalwood lingered. Su Chen looked at Qian Junmo in front of him. He had a handsome face and looked like a gentleman. His aura was dark and could not be detected. It could be known that the other party's realm was higher than his. Young Master Su, this is a soul calming incense, specially made by Zenwu Taoist Temple. This is our first meeting. Please accept it. Qian Junmo placed a long brocade box in front of Su Chen and said, soul calming incense from Zenwu Taoist Temple. Su Chen was slightly stunned. He did not expect that Qian Junmo would give him the soul calming incense from Zenwu Taoist Temple as soon as he arrived. The soul calming incense from Zenwu Taoist Temple can make people's mind clear and is very helpful for warriors to cultivate their divine power. I didn't expect that Brother Qian would give you such a valuable thing when we first met. It seems that there is something. Please tell me. Qian Junmo must have something to do if he gave such a thing as soon as he arrived. This time, I came here mainly to ask young Master Su not to get involved in the matter between me and Lan Yuhao. Qian Junmo said. In the capital, he knew how powerful the sword master of the Qinglang Society was. If Lan Yuhao hooked up with the Qinglang Society, it would definitely not be a good thing for him. Brother Qian wants me to not accept Lan Yuhao's mission for you. If that's the case, I'm afraid this little thing won't work. Su Chen looked at Qian Junmo and said in a deep voice. Hearing Su Chen's words, Qian Junmo showed a hint of joy on his face. Su Chen made things public, so he didn't have to hide it. He took out a brocade box, a jade bottle, and 3 silver bills from his arms. When the brocade box was opened, a strange fragrance came to his nose. It was a pill. The pill exuded a luster, and a dragon shadow was faintly swimming above the luster. This pill is called the dragon-inducing bone-rising pill. Taking this pill can greatly strengthen the tendons and bones, and improve the root bone qualification to a certain extent. In this jade bottle, there is a drop of blood from the 1,000-year-old spirit turtle in the back mountain of the Zenwu Taoist Temple, which can greatly improve the innate ki and blood of the warrior. The last 3 silver notes, a total of 15 million taels. Qian Junmo looked at Su Chen while speaking. Su Chen took the brocade box in his hand and observed the pill. Then he opened the jade bottle again, and finally opened the previous spirit-settling incense box. Trigger the dragon-inducing bone-rising pill. Get 1 orange lottery card. Trigger the 3,000-year-old spirit turtle blood. Get 1 orange lottery card. Trigger the Zenwu Garden spirit-settling incense. Get 1 orange lottery card. Brother Qian, your move is really extraordinary. We Qinglang Club will not participate in the matter between Lan Yuhao and you. Su Chen said. There is no friendship between Lan Yuhao and him for the time being. What's more, Qinglang Club won't kill Qian Junmo, but Xian'ai Pavilion can. Don't miss these things. Thank you, young Master Su. I have something else to do. I'll talk to young Master Su after I finish my business. Qian Junmo smiled when he saw Su Chen agreed and didn't stay here for long. This Qian Junmo is extraordinary. Many Zuanshan looked at the things on the table and couldn't help but say. For others, this may be an ordinary thing. Su Chen said. Not only did he get good things this time, but he also got 3 orange lottery cards. I'm lucky today. Su Chen directly took out these 3 lottery cards, and 1 card he got from Lan Yuhao before, and 4 cards. Get a drop of demon blood, exclusive to Liu Sheng Yijian. Get Dragon Raw Shield. Get the second secret of Xian'ai 4 symbol secret. 1 card of Fire God's Wrath Enlightenment. And 1 bottle of Xianren pill. This harvest looks good. Chen checked the exclusive item, Demon Blood, of Liu Sheng Yijian. Demon Blood, the blood of the first generation of Demon Lord of destroying Demon Sector both Shineman. Taking Demon Blood can change one's physique, comprehend the incomplete demonic will of destroying Demon Lord, and increase one's own divine power. Dragon Roar Shield, peak weapon level, obtain 100 drops of blood from the 1000-year-old turtle of true martial Taoist Templito, evolve into a spiritual weapon. Kyan Junmo is sending me money. It seems that there is a chance to go and see the 1000-year-old turtle in the back mountain of true martial Taoist temple. Su Chen said in his heart. His face was full of smiles. At this time, in another place, in the secret room, Bei Mochen exuded a terrifying murderous intent, and his eyes were ferocious. Giant Heichi, Holy Sword Lake, you are too cruel. Bei Mochen did not expect that Holy Sword Lake would take action in just one day and destroy his Shinshan palace. Giant Heichi, if I don't kill you, I, Bei Mochen, will not be a human being. Bei Mochen roared. But soon, his expression stabilized. The Quan Cao plan was destroyed by Ren Qianxing, and the matter was exposed. He had actually expected this result. He just didn't expect it to come so soon. Brother Wei, Lu Wujian has taken action. I'm afraid they will find us soon. What are your plans? Let's leave Luoyang City first. Bei Mochen looked at Wei Dongjin of Yama Palace. Brother Bei, Sima Changhan's things are very important to me. As long as Brother Bei helps me get the things in Sima Changhan's hands, I will definitely help deal with Giant Heichi. This time Giant Heichi used momentary beauty twice. I believe he doesn't have much life left. We have a chance to kill him. Brother Bei, now that Shinshan Palace has been destroyed, I would like to invite Brother Bei to join my Yanluo Palace. Wei Dongjin spoke at this time, wanting Bei Mochen to join Yama Palace. As long as Giant Heichi dies, I will join Yama Palace. Bei Mochen said, after thinking for a moment. Now he has no other choice. Joining Yama Palace may be a good choice. At this time, in another inn, Lin Zioshan appeared in front of Sima Changhan. Brother, the Sword Master sent Giant Heichi to destroy the Shinshan Palace. Now the Holy Sword Lake is even more powerful. What should we do? Lin Zioshan said. Kill Giant Heichi. Sima Changhan said calmly. Kill Giant Heichi. Brother, are you going to do it yourself? But the opponent's move, Moment of Beauty, is extremely strange. Even Xian Jingchen was killed. Lin Zioshan said with some concern. The drop of blood in my body has been refined almost. Even if he uses Moment of Beauty, I'm confident that I can block it. As long as he uses Moment of Beauty, he will die. Sima Changhan's eyes were calm and his tone was very confident. Brother, what should I do next? Surveillance on Wei Dongjin and Bei Mochen of Yama Palace. They should have a backup plan. I really want to see what their backup plan is. And King Lan Club, young dragon chief Su Chen appeared in Luoyang County, which made me think of a method that may be useful. Sima Changhan said. King Lang Society? Brother, are you going to ask King Lang Society to kill someone? Lin Zioshan said. It's not me who is asking, but Bei Mochen and the others. Since Shengjian Lake destroyed Shinshan Palace, it's normal for Bei Mochen to ask someone to kill someone. Sima Changhan said. Brother, who killed Shengjian Lake? Lin Zioshan said. Huo Xianayin, the general manager of Shengjian Lake. Sima Changhan said. Understood, I will make this happen. After saying that, Lin Zioshan turned and left. After Lin Zioshan left, Sima Changhan raised his hands, looked at his hands, and sighed. I haven't taken action for many years. It's time to move around. While he was talking, a man in black appeared outside the room. Boss, Shengjian Lake wants to see you. Tell them that they can't find my whereabouts for the time being. Sima Changhan said. Yes. The man in black quickly retreated. Everyone thought Sima Changhan was hiding, but no one thought that Sima Changhan had been in the inn opposite the Luoyang Escort Agency. Sima Changhan took a look at the destroyed Luoyang Escort Agency opposite, changed into a black suit, and turned to leave the inn. He was going to kill Giant Heichi. Right square bracket. Chapter 771. Kill Huo Xianayin's mission. Liu Sheng strikes with a sword. After a while, inside the secret room. Palace Master, Giant Heichi destroyed our Shinshan Palace. We have to take revenge. Lin Ziaoshan looked at Bei Motion and said gloomily. If Giant He is in Xianjin Palace, I'm afraid he is trying to lure us out. Our current goal is to find Sima Changhan. Wei Dongjin said beside Bei Motion. Yanluo Palace Master, my Xianjin Palace has been destroyed. I think it's time for us to take revenge now, not to find Sima Changhan. Lin Ziaoshan said coldly. His eyes turned to Bei Mochen. Deputy Palace Master Lin, I have promised Yanluo Palace Master to join Yanluo Palace. Now our primary target is Sima Changhan. Bei Mochen said. Palace Master, don't you want to take revenge? If you don't take revenge, I will. I found out that Su Chen, the young leader of Qinglang Society, appeared in Luoyang City. I can contact Su Chen and ask the people of Qinglang Society to kill the people of Shengjian Lake. Lin Ziaoshan said. Qinglang Society? Speaking of Qinglang Society, Yama Palace Master frowned slightly. But Bei Mochen showed a hint of change on his face. If the people of Qinglang Society could attack the people of Holy Sword Lake, it would be considered revenge. This is a good idea. You contact Qinglang Society and see what price they want to kill Giant He. Bei Mochen said. Giant He is still sitting outside Xianjin Palace. As long as he is there, the destruction of Xianjin Palace will always attract attention. Therefore, if Giant He can be killed, it will not only stop the current rumors, but also avenge the destruction of Xianjin Palace. My subordinate, when I came here, I inquired about the Qinglang Club's attack. This Qinglang Club will attack 3 times and will not attack this person again if it fails 3 times. And the reward for the mission needs to be paid to them first. Should we test their strength first? I think we should kill Huo Xianyin, the general manager of Shengjian Lake first. He is the person in charge of Shengjian Lake's external affairs. Killing him can make Shengjian Lake turbulent. Lin Ziaoshan said. Killing Huo Xianyin is indeed a good idea. The cost of killing him should be lower than killing Giant He. Wei Dongjin, who was standing aside, couldn't help but say after hearing Lin Ziaoshan's words. Bei Mochen pondered for a moment and said, you go and meet with this Qinglang Club, Xiaolong Tao in secret to see the price the other party will pay to kill Huo Xianyin, and do everything you can. Then I will go to see Xiaolong Tao soon now. Lin Ziaoshan nodded and quickly left the secret room. His purpose of coming back has been achieved. He is going to see Su Chen. I didn't expect so many people to come after the opening of the Holy Sword Lake. Lin Ziaoshan is going to see Su Chen. You should also go with me to see my ally. The Lord of Yama said. Bei Mochen's eyes condensed slightly, nodded and followed the Lord of Yama to leave the secret room. In the inn. You said you wanted to ask my Qinglang Club to kill Huo Xianyin, the general manager of Holy Sword Lake? Su Chen looked at Lin Ziaoshan, the deputy palace master of Xianjin Palace, who had just come to find him. Unexpectedly, not long after Qian Junmo left, Lin Ziaoshan, the deputy palace master of his own Xianjin Palace, appeared in front of him and asked him, Qinglang Club, to kill Huo Xianyin, the general manager of Holy Sword Lake. Lin Ziaoshan's identity may not be known to outsiders, but Su Chen knows that he is Sima Changhan's man. Yes, this is the recipe of my Xianjin Palace, Xianjin Bill. Please ask Qinglang Club to kill Huo Xianyin. Lin Ziaoshan put a pill on the table. Plus 10 million taels of silver. We'll take this mission. Qinglang who will take action, as long as the other party gives enough compensation. So Su Chen did not refuse. 10 million taels of silver. Hearing this, Lin Ziaoshan was slightly startled. He really didn't have 10 million taels of silver now. Young Master Su, this is the secret book of my Xianjin Palace's unique skill, Sky Curtain Thunderfist. I wonder if it can be worth the 10 million taels of silver. Lin Ziaoshan took out a secret book from his arms and said, it's still a little short, add another one. Su Chen said calmly. He didn't have the secret book, but he lacked special elixirs and special treasures. Hearing this, Lin Ziaoshan pondered for a moment, took out another secret book, and said, this is Xianjin Demon Yuan Palm, we'll take this mission. Su Chen grabbed all 3 things in his hand. Get the Xianjun pill recipe. Get the Sky Curtain Thunder Fist, Xianjun Demon Yuan Palm, secret book, and reward 3 orange lottery cards. I got 3 more orange lottery cards. It seems that the changes in Luoyang County may benefit me. Su Chen thought to himself, I will notify the Qinglan Club. Deputy Palace Master Lin, don't worry, Huo Xian'an won't live long. But next time the Qinglan Club matters, Deputy Palace Master Lin had better go to my Qinglan Club base and entrust the task. Su Chen then looked at Lin Ziaoshan and said, understood. Lin Ziaoshan nodded and turned to leave. After Lin Ziaoshan left, Yuan Suan came up and said, Master, do you think Lin Ziaoshan was following the orders of Bei Mochen or Sima Changhan? If it was Bei Mochen's order, then he was just avenging Xianjun Palace. If it was Sima Changhan's order, I'm afraid Sima Changhan was planning something. These have nothing to do with us. As long as you give us something, we Qinglan will kill people. Su Chen said, take this to Liu Shengyejian and let Liu Shengyejian kill Huo Xian'an. Don't expose the identity of Qinglan for the time being. Su Chen handed the obtained demon blood to Yuan Suan. Liu Shengyejian obtained the skills of the white-clothed man from the East China Sea, and his strength has reached the top. With this drop of demon blood, his strength will inevitably become more terrifying. Killing Huo Xian'an should be possible. Luoyang City in a remote and quiet courtyard. Liu Shengyejian, wrapped in black clothes, appeared outside the small building. He pushed the door and walked into the courtyard. A skinny old man was lying on a recliner in the house. When he saw Liu Shengyejian coming in, his expression changed and his eyes became sharp. When he wanted to speak, a bronze token appeared in Liu Shengyejian's hand with a sword character engraved on it. Meet the sword master. The skinny old man bowed immediately when he saw the token. This is a base of the Qinglan Society. The base was the former base of Kanmeng. Now Kanmeng has been incorporated into the Qinglan Society, so it has become the base of the Qinglan Society. Where is Huo Xian'an, the general manager of Shengjian Lake, going tonight? A low voice came from Liu Shengyejian's mouth. Hearing this, the skinny old man was startled. Swordmaster, Huo Xian'an, the general manager of Shengjian Lake, should go to Lan Yuhao's manor today to attend the dinner. The skinny old man said. These bases not only accept tasks, but also collect some intelligence. They got the news that Lan Yuhao invited Huo Xian'an to a banquet yesterday. When he finished speaking, Liu Shengyejian had already turned and left. A sword master has arrived. I wonder if Huo Xian'an can survive under the sword master's hands. But this time when the Holy Sword Lake is opened, it is really turbulent. The skinny old man murmured. Chapter 772. Demonic blood induces Huo Xian's death. In the evening, a road from Holy Sword Lake to Luoyang City. Huo Xian'an was sitting in a carriage. Invited by Lan Yuhao, Huo Xian'an went to Lan Yuhao's manor. Lan Yuhao's status was not ordinary, so Huo Xian'an did not refuse. In the evening, the sunset was in the afterglow, and the breeze blew the leaves on both sides of the road. The carriage was moving slowly. Huo Xian'an squinted his eyes and was thinking about something. He had been looking for a few hands in the dark. He wanted to pull these people out. Xianjun Palace was just a force that appeared in the open, and it was hidden deeper behind. Boom. Just at that time, suddenly, a figure appeared on the official road. His figure soared into the air, and he slashed with a sword. Swish. A huge sword energy blasted out and slashed at the carriage. Bang. The driver and the carriage were instantly cut in half by the sword. Huo Xian'an, wearing a purple robe, flew out of the carriage, looking fiercely at the person in front of him, who was wrapped in a black robe. Who are you? He said in a low voice. But the man in black did not reply. He moved his body and turned into a residual image. He instantly appeared in front of Huo Xian'an and slashed out with the long sword in his hand again. The extremely sharp sword light instantly enveloped Huo Xian'an. Huo Xian'an's eyes turned cold, and he moved his feet. His body flew into the air and retreated to avoid the sword. Just when he was dodging the sword, the long sword in Liu Shengai's hand turned into a sword light, sweeping across the opponent like a rainstorm. What a sharp swordsmanship. Huo Xianyan's mind chilled when he sensed the rain-like sword light, and his pupils shrank. The sword light blocked all the space around him, and the speed was so fast that he could not retreat any further. The ki in his body circulated, and a black lightning ki appeared in his palm. He slapped it out instantly, and the terrifying ki collided with the falling sword light. Boom. Huo Xianyan's figure retreated violently backwards. While retreating violently, he kicked the ground with his feet and rushed out. Thunder True Tribulation Palm. A palm print larger than before appeared, and rolling black lightning energy appeared in the palm print. A palm blasted out. Swish. However, this palm was cut in half by a sword light. After the sword light landed, the black figure held a long sword and rushed towards Huo Xianyan's heart fiercely. Divine power. Heavenly thunder suppresses the god. At this moment, Huo Xianyan burst out his divine power, and a terrifying black lightning burst out behind him, forming a terrifying black thunder space. When this thunder appeared, the surrounding space seemed to be suppressed by a huge gravity. The long sword that Liu Sheng stabbed out seemed to be affected and suppressed. Divine power. Sword eyes the world, Liu Sheng shouted with a sword, and a black sword energy burst out from his body. The long sword in his hand was raised and slashed out with a sword. Thunder fist. Huo Xianyan also shouted at this moment and punched out. The fist collided with the black sword light, and the sword light penetrated the thunder. Remnant shadow clone. At the moment, when the thunder was shattered by the sword, Huo Xianyan's body instantly turned into several figures. Swish, the sword light penetrated a figure. In another place, a figure appeared, with a trace of blood spilling from the corner of his mouth, and looked at Liu Sheng Yijian with horror. Your sword. Who are you? Huo Xianyan looked at Liu Sheng Yijian and said, someone pays, someone will kill you. Why do you need to know your origin? You just dodged my sword. I don't know if you can dodge my sword again. Liu Sheng Yijian's divine power burst out again, and the sword intent in his body surged rapidly. Kill me, I'm afraid you can't do it. A scarlet pill appeared in Huo Xianyan's hand, and he swallowed it in one gulp. A terrifying blood energy emerged from his body, and the bare red blood energy burst out in his body. This terrifying blood energy condensed, and finally turned into a terrifying blood-colored monkey figure. Boom. As the blood-colored monkey appeared, the black lightning true energy on Huo Xianyan's body spread out, and followed the blood-colored monkey. And a more terrifying divine power than before spread out, suppressing Liu Sheng Yijian. Liu Sheng Yijian's eyes condensed slightly, and his divine power was vaguely affected by this violent energy. I'll blow you up with one punch. Huo Xianyan's eyes became ferocious, and he clenched his palms. Thunder, violent ape anger. Boom. Horrible blood and violent true energy appeared in his fists, and he punched Liu Sheng Yijian. Liu Sheng Yijian's eyes were solemn. At this time, a stream of black blood in Liu Sheng Yijian's body was affected by this power and energy, and it actually started to circulate. The black blood circulated, and began to merge with the blood in his body. The blood merged in an instant. Liu Sheng Yijian's pupils became dark, and a terrifying demonic energy burst out of his body. He raised the long sword in his hand. The boundless demonic energy and sword energy gathered. Sword moves, demon rises, and destroys. Boom. Liu Sheng Yijian's body flew into the air, and slashed with a sword. For a moment, the sky and the earth rose, the wind and clouds moved, the sword light, the blood shadow, the devil's energy, the fist force, vibrated in the air. Swish. The surrounding energy suddenly disappeared. Liu Sheng Yijian and Huo Xianyan fell down. Huo Xianyan looked at his chest. He turned his head, and looked at Liu Sheng Yijian. Who are you? Just as the voice fell. Bang. The whole body turned into a ball of flesh and blood. Liu Sheng Yijian's figure instantly disappeared into the dense forest. Soon, a group of warriors appeared at the place of the battle. Looking at the flesh and blood scattered on the ground, and the carriage and the driver who were cut in half by a sword, they showed horror on their faces. This is the carriage of General Manager Huo of Holy Sword Lake. It just passed in front of us. Something big has happened. One of them said in horror. The General Manager of Holy Sword Lake is the person in charge of Holy Sword Lake to the outside world. Now he has been killed. This is definitely a big deal. Just now, Holy Sword Lake, sent Giant Heichi to destroy Chen Palace. Now, Huo Xian'an, the general manager of Holy Sword Lake, was killed. This seems to be a kind of revenge. Soon, Holy Sword Lake got the news. A group of people appeared. Check the situation at the scene. At this moment, in a huge house in Luoyang City, inside a pavilion, 4 figures were in it. The Lord of Yama Palace and Beimochin were also in it. In the middle was a young man in brocade clothes, with a sense of majesty between his eyebrows. Next to him was an old man with a dead aura all over his body. Master Bei, this matter is completed. I believe that your Xianchen Palace can be completely rebuilt. The young man in brocade clothes in the middle said. We still need to rely on young Master Lai. Beimochin said hurriedly. This young Master Lai is Lai Guhong, the son of Lai Zhenbei of the Jiangnan Lai family. Beimochin looked at Lai Xianan and the old man with a dead aura all over his body, and his heart moved secretly. I didn't expect so many people to plot against Holy Sword Lake. At this time, a figure walked in. It was an old man in a grey robe. The old man had an ordinary face. Young master, I just received news that Huo Xian'an, the general manager of Holy Sword Lake, was killed on his way to Lanyu Villa. The old man who came in spoke. Chapter 773, Fang Huoyan, the successor of the Changsheng Society, Sima Changhan vs. Giant Heichi. Huo Xian'an is dead. Do you know who killed him? Hearing this, Lai Guhang asked with a changed expression. It was a swordsman master. As for who it was, we have arranged for someone to investigate. It will take some time. The old man replied. Young Master Lai, we may know. Wei Dongjin, the Lord of Yama Palace, said. Do you know? It may be someone from the Qinglang Society who did it. Before we came, Deputy Palace Master Lin Xiaoshan went to see Su Chen, the young leader of the Qinglang Society, and asked him to send someone to kill Huo Xian'an. Beimochin said. Is that so? There are masters from the Qinglang Society coming. I heard that Su Chen, the young leader of the Qinglang Society, will also go to the banquet of Marquis Lan Yu. I want to meet him later. You go back first. Lai Guhang said. Yes. The 3 stood up and saluted and left. After the 3 left, a figure walked out from the inner room of the pavilion. It was also a young man. The young man had a cold face and deep eyes. When someone looked into the other's eyes, they would definitely feel that the eyes were like a whirlpool. Hello, senior brother. Hello, Lord Fang. Lai Guhang and the grey-robed old man saluted the visitor. The Qinglang Society, Xian'ai Pavilion, Lang Yuhao, Kan Junmo, and the forces hidden in the dark. It's really lively. Since it's lively, let's make it even more lively. Didn't Beimochin just say that the Qinglang Society killed Huo Xian'an? Send this news out to make Holy Sword Lake more chaotic. The young man showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth. Senior brother, will this affect you to get that thing? Lai Guhang said. The more chaotic the better. It won't affect me to get that thing. Only I can get the things of my Changsheng Society. Fang Huoyan, the young man who inherited the Changsheng Society. These people are in addition. I want to know where Zhu Pingsheng is now. Fang Huoyan said in a deep voice. I haven't found out where Zhu Pingsheng is yet. The grey-robed old man said. It's really interesting. You should go to meet Lan Yuhao. Lan Yuhao has a very deep identity. It will be beneficial for you if you can make friends with him. Fang Huoyan said. Then, senior brother, I will go to meet Lan Yuhao first and arrange for someone to spread the news that Qinglang Club attacked and killed Huo Xian'an. Lai Guhang bowed and said. Go. Fang Huoyan waved his hand. At this time, the news that Huo Xian'an was killed in Luoyang City had spread. Not long after the news spread, the news that Huo Xian'an was killed by Qinglang Club also spread. Su Chen, who was on his way to Lan Yuhao's mansion. Hearing this news, his face became gloomy. Master, this is to pull my Qinglang Club to the opposite side of Holy Sword Lake. When Liu Sheng Jianzhen took action, he did not reveal his identity, so it should not be discovered in a short time. Yuan Suan said. Go to Lin Xiaoshan. If he leaked it, then he doesn't need to live. Su Chen said coldly. Yes. Yu and Suan flashed in the carriage and got out of the carriage. The carriage continued to go to the mansion of Lan Yuhao, another place Lin Ziaoshan was anxious. He didn't know why the news of King Lan Club killing Huo Shan appeared. Previously, King Lan Club made a move but did not reveal their identity. Now, in a short period of time, King Lan Club mentioned it. This must be someone deliberately reported it. This is to ask King Lan Club to be on the opposite side of Sacred Sword Lake so that King Lan Club can absorb firepower. Things must not be spread by his eldest brother. That can only be Wei Dongjin and Bei Mochen. When he was anxious, Bei Mochen and Wei Dongjin walked in from outside the secret room. Deputy Palace Master Lin, what's your face? Seeing Lin Ziaoshan's anxious face, Wei Dongjin couldn't help asking. Palace Master, Lord of Yanluo Palace, this King Lan Club killed Huo Shan and caused the news to be leaked. Is it you? Lin Ziaoshan asked in a deep voice. We didn't leak it. Wei Dongjin glanced at Bei Mochen and said. Bei Mochen shook his head. Palace Master, Lord Yanluo, don't be too cruel. Only me and young Dragon Master Su of the Green Dragon Society know about this. Now that the matter has been leaked, young Dragon Master Su will definitely suspect me. Are you going to make me a scapegoat? Lin Ziaoshan's face turned cold when he saw this. The Green Dragon Society would not spread it, and he didn't spread it either. It could only be Bei Mochen and the others. What's more, Wei Dongjin and the others must have gone to meet someone without telling him. While speaking, he looked at the two of them with a vigilant look. Seeing the change in Lin Ziaoshan's expression, Bei Mochen's expression changed, and he quickly said, Deputy Palace Master Lin, we don't mean to push you out as a scapegoat. We are with you now. Even if the King Lang Society retaliates, we will be with you. This time we went to see an important person. When the other party heard about this matter just now, we told him that it might be that person who let it out. This matter is beneficial to us. In this way, Holy Sword Lake will confront King Lang Society, which will increase our chances of revenge. Lin Ziaoshan is loyal to him. If he is not appeased, Lin Ziaoshan may be disappointed. For a period of time recently, you will stay in the secret room. I believe that King Lang Society will not be able to find you for the time being. Wei Dongjin of Yama Palace spoke at this time. Although he did not believe in Lin Ziaoshan's strength was very good and useful. Humph. I don't believe you very much. I will find a place to hide myself. I will not participate in things that have nothing to do with Xianchen Palace in the future. Lin Ziaoshan glanced at the two people and walked out of the secret room. It seems that we can't keep Lin Ziaoshan. Wei Dongjin said as he watched Lin Ziaoshan leave. If it were you, you would be angry too. Not to mention, are you sure you can kill him? It would make too much noise if we did it. Let him be. He is willing to go out. Let him help us to arouse the anger of the King Lang Society first. But why did you tell me that young Master Lai released the news that the King Lang Society killed Huo Shan? The more chaotic Luoyang City is, the more things we can do. But if Lin Ziaoshan is not here, we will have to find Sima Changhan ourselves. I don't know how Sima Changhan is hiding, and he hasn't shown up yet. Xianchen Palace. The night light is bright. A figure is sitting in front of the Xianchen Palace. The white hair looks extremely bright under the moonlight. It is Giant He from Holy Sword Lake. Suddenly Giant He opened his eyes and looked not far away. Under the moonlight, a slender figure slowly walked over. The person was wearing a mask and a black robe, which wrapped his whole body. You are not from the Xianchen Palace. What are you doing here? Giant He looked at the figure and said coldly. It is said that the momentary beauty of Holy Sword Lake is strange and unparalleled. No one has been able to escape it so far. I really want to try it today. The black figure looked at Giant He and said coldly. You are here to kill me. It seems that you are not sitting here in vain. Lead someone out and kill you first. Giant He slowly stood up. He was not only waiting for the remnant of Xianchen Palace here, but also waiting for the dark hand in the dark. Chapter 774. I borrow the power of Xianmen to kill you, but unfortunately, Giant He died. Giant He, you are very confident, and I'm also very confident, but I don't know which of us can survive. The black figure looked at Giant H with a flat tone. Then it depends on who is stronger. If I kill you, I will know who you are. A man who hides his head and shows his tail. Giant H said coldly, and a terrifying and sharp sword intent burst out from his eyes. Although he did not have a sword on his body, the sword energy could turn into a sword. It's been many years since I took action. I don't know if it's rusty. The black-robed man stretched out his palm, which was as white as jade under the moonlight, and as delicate as a woman's hand. But when these hands appeared, Giant H's eyes condensed slightly, and he said in a deep voice, "It's you. The person who broke into the Holy Sword Lake at night and exchanged a move with my senior brother. I didn't expect you to show up now." Giant H looked at the other person with a serious look. He didn't know him. Back then, the other party also appeared in the Holy Sword Lake, with his face covered, and exchanged a move with his senior brother, the current Holy Sword Lake Sword Master. That time, his senior brother failed to stop the other party. The wind and rain have left my youth, and I'm a lonely and sad traveler in the world. As he spoke, the aura of the black-robed man began to change. A terrifying purple true energy burst out from his body, like a violent storm. I know you have always wanted to surpass your senior brother, so you practice Moment of Beauty. Use Moment of Beauty, and let me see if you are qualified to defeat your senior brother. The black-robed man raised his palm. Divine power. There is a Kun in the North Sea. The moment the black-robed man raised his palm, a divine power burst out from his body. As soon as the divine power burst out, a terrifying wave of air emerged between heaven and earth, with an extremely powerful momentum that shocked people. The divine power of the black-robed man was obtained by his study of ancient books. In ancient times, there was a fish in the North Sea, named Kun. Kun was so big that no one knew how many thousands of miles it was. It turned into a bird named Peng. Peng's back was so big that no one knew how many thousands of miles it was. It flew in anger, and its wings were like clouds hanging from the sky. Of course, his divine power was just a start, and he had not yet evolved into the image of Kun. But at this moment, the originally bright moonlight was covered by the terrifying airwave. Divine power, sword slaughters the world. At this moment, Giant H burst out his divine power. With the divine power rising, the energy flowed, forming transparent sword energy, which was sharp in the void. Cut gold and break jade. The black-robed man raised his arm and slashed out. Giant H, with his hands together, the sword energy that burst out of his body quickly condensed into a huge long sword, cooperating with the divine power. A sword slashed out. Boom. The two forces collided. At the moment of the collision, the world seemed to be silent in an instant. At this moment, the black-robed man moved his body, clenched his palm into a long fist, and blasted out with his fist. The energy in his fist pressed towards Giant H like a long river. Giant H's eyes condensed, and he clenched his palm. Endless sword energy appeared in his palm. A punch blasted out. The sword energy wrapped around his fist burst out. The two forces collided again. The fist energy was broken, and the two fists collided together. It's time. Instant beauty. When the fists collided, Giant H's face showed a ferocious look, and he shouted in a low voice. A strange sword energy appeared in his body. The sword energy turned into sword light, and enveloped the man in black. Instantly enveloped the man in black. The man in black suddenly moved slightly, as if he had encountered something. Cut. At this moment, Giant H slashed with his sword again. The sword light was like lightning. It's powerful, but it doesn't work on me. Kun Peng moves the 9 heavens. The man in black shouted in a low voice, and a terrifying energy appeared around him. The energy flowed, and a giant fish and a giant bird emerged in the true energy, shattering the strange sword light. It also blocked the stabbing sword. Golden jade sky collapse. As the sword light was blocked, the man in black shouted in a low voice, and a light golden aura appeared on his hands. And the true energy that had previously surrounded his body also gathered on his arms at the first time. Bang, bang. Both palms slapped out instantly. The palm was hard on the opponent's chest. 2 golden hand shadows seemed to penetrate the opponent's chest. Stop it, my instant beauty. You blocked it. I'm indeed a little worse than my senior brother. But you want to kill me like this? It's impossible. I, Giant H, will not die like this. When Giant H was speaking, A terrifying blood energy suddenly emerged in his chest. With the appearance of this thick blood energy, a terrifying aura fluctuation appeared over the entire Chen palace, and a sky gate appeared faintly. This is the blood energy essence condensed by my slaughter of thousands of people in Chen palace, which aroused the last strength in my body. I want to use the sky gate to kill you. Giant H's face was extremely ferocious. The sky gate appeared, and a terrifying force fell towards Giant H. Giant H did not resist this force. When this force fell on his body began to become unstable. But behind him, a sword energy appeared, and the sword energy slashed out, tear everything apart. But when the sword energy slashed out, puff, Giant H spit out a mouthful of blood. His body couldn't help but tremble. Bang. His chest exploded, his eyes dimmed instantly, but he still stood up, and didn't fall down. What a pity. The black-robed man sighed. Then he roared, and the meridians in the black-robed man's body flowed rapidly. The originally peaceful meridians were now covered with blood. The black-robed man's body changed accordingly. The ki and blood in his body were like an ocean. He raised his hands, and at the moment when the sword light fell, he closed his palms and caught the sword light. Bang. His body was shaken back, and his clothes were shattered, revealing a black outfit. After retreating hundreds of meters, the sword light disappeared. Giant H, I didn't expect you to have this last sword. It's a pity for a generation of sword idiots. If there was no sword master, perhaps your achievements would be higher. The black-robed man took off his mask. It was Sima Changhan, who wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He looked at Giant H, sighed, put on the mask again, and turned to leave. At this time, a figure appeared in front of Sima Changhan. Sir, the Qinglang Society killed Huo Xianyan today. The one who did it was a swordsman. The sword energy left at the scene was sharp and domineering. The figure who appeared reported, the sword master of the Qinglang Society? Does it match the sword masters who appeared? Sima Changhan said. It is different from the swordsmanship practiced by the 3 sword masters who appeared now. Instead, it is a bit like the swordsmanship of Liu Shengyijian. The man in black said. The Qinglang Society is really mysterious. What about others? Sima Changhan asked. After Huo Xianyan was killed, someone secretly spread the news that it was someone from the Qinglang Society who did it. The man in black continued. It seems that someone wants to muddy the waters, fish in troubled waters, or want to stir up the situation. Investigate who spread this news. Sima Changhan said in a deep voice. Yes. The man in black took the order and left quickly. Sima Changhan glanced at the standing body of Giant H, shook his head, and turned away. Chapter 775 How can a killer be called a killer if he doesn't kill people? Feng Huaxi Lao Liu King Chao. In the manor of Marquis Lan Yu, the lights were bright. In the huge banquet hall, there were songs, pianos, and pipa, all of which were pleasant to the ears. There was also a charming figure in the middle of the hall. There were many people sitting on both sides, and Marquis Lan Yu was sitting on the main seat. Below him, on the left was Su Chen. Zhuang Zuanji and Mei Zuanshang sat behind him, and on the right was Li Guhang of the Lai family. But Su Chen didn't pay attention to them. His eyes fell on a very charming woman next to him. The woman's temperament was irresistible, and her face was also peerless and enchanting, and she could be called a beauty of her generation. Her body was exquisite and undulating, and she was wearing a black transparent long skirt. You could vaguely see her exposed skin, which exuded a charming luster, and aroused people's reverie. The woman who ranked second on the previous Xiangxin list was named Liu King Chao. The age of the Xiangxin list cannot exceed 25 years old. Liu King Chao is 26 this year, and she is not a virgin, and she exudes a mature charm. Brother Su, you are not doing something right. Lan Yuhao looked at Su Chen with a melancholy face. Not right, I didn't do anything. Su Chen asked with a puzzled look. Butler Huo, I invited you here, but you were. Lan Yuhao didn't say anything more. The meaning was very clear. I'm just the young leader of the Qinglang Club. The business of the Qinglang Club in Jiangnan is arranged by the leaders. Besides, our Qinglang Club is in this business. If a killer doesn't kill people, can he still be called a killer? Su Chen said. Brother Su is right. but later I hope that the young leader Su will ask the Kinglang Club to not accept the guests I invited at the banquet. Of course, we can discuss the remuneration. As long as I'm still here, I will arrange for someone to deliver the annual fee. Lang Yuhao said. Okay, I will contact the leader about this matter and discuss it later. Today is a banquet, let's not talk about this. Drink. Su Chen raised his glass lightly. Young Master Su, I'll toast you a glass too. At this time, Liu Qingchao on the opposite side also raised his glass. Liu Qingchao's voice was moving. When she raised the glass, the veil on her arm moved slightly, revealing her white arm slightly. Together, Su Chen's eyes were calm. This Liu Qingchao was not simple. In Yangcheng, Jinling County, she founded the Wind, Flower, Snow, and Moon Tower, whose members were all extremely beautiful. With these people and her own means, she established herself in Yangcheng. There were no aristocratic families in Yangcheng, but there was a mansion called One Mansion, which was the strongest among the 3 overlords in Yangcheng. 1/3 of the brothels in Jiangnan were in the hands of One Mansion, and the person in charge of One Mansion was named Wan Chunhan. It was rumored that Liu Qingchao had a certain relationship with Wan Chunhan. This was also the reason why she could sit below Li Guhan. Of course, the people invited by Lan Yuhao all had a certain status in the martial arts world. After a glass of wine, young Master Su, let's have a chat in the back garden later. I have something to discuss. Just as Su Chen put down his glass, a charming voice sounded in Su Chen's ears. Su Chen looked at Liu Qingchao, who nodded slightly. Su Chen did not refuse, but nodded as well. He really wanted to know what Liu Qingchao was talking to him about. Then Liu Qingchao did not reply, but entertained other people who came to toast. Lang Yuhao stood up and came to Su Chen's side. Young Master Su, I wonder if you, Kinglang Club, will do Qian Junmo's business. Lang Yuhao said. Qian Junmo came to me before and asked me not to get involved in your affairs with him and gave me a very generous reward, so we, Kinglang Club, will not get involved in the grudge between you. If you leave before today, we, Kinglang Club, can still do it. What a pity. Su Chen said softly. I didn't expect him to guess my thoughts. Lang Yuhao sighed. In that case, forget it. Do you want me to introduce you to other people? Lang Yuhao said. I like quietness, watching dances and listening to piano. Brother Lan, you can go and entertain other people first. Su Chen said. Then Brother Su, I will go and entertain them first, and then I will come to accompany Brother Su later. Lang Yuhao nodded and went to entertain others. The banquet was going on. Here are the friends you know, you don't have to accompany me. When they came in, many people greeted Zhuang Zhuangji and Mei Zhuangshang. Okay, there are some people who have business with the bank. I need to meet them. Zhuang Zhuangji said. Mei Zhuangshang also nodded, and the two left. Su Chen drank alone. At this time, Liu Qingchao's voice continued to sound in Su Chen's ears. Young Master Su, move to the back garden. Liu Qingchao was a voice transmitter. When she spoke, she had already stood up and walked towards the backyard of the banquet. Su Chen did not stand up immediately, but waited for a while, then stood up and left. The manor was brightly lit, as bright as day. Liu Qingchao was waiting for Su Chen by a rockery in the back hall. Seeing Su Chen, people came forward. I have been to this manor many times. Please follow me. Liu Qingchao led Su Chen to the depths of the back garden. The two walked forward, passed through the corridor, passed through a bush, and appeared in a pavilion in the back garden. It was late at night and the breeze was blowing gently. Su Chen's nostrils smelled a faint fragrance, and his eyes could not help but look at Liu Qingchao. The breeze blew Liu Qingchao's black dress, outlining her perfect body and her long legs. I didn't expect that young Master Su would really follow me to the back garden. I never thought of it. Liu Qingchao said. Miss Liu, you specially invited me here in front of everyone, so you should have more than just said this. Su Chen said calmly. I want to cooperate with young Master Su. I want to ask the people from the Kinglang Society to kill Wan Chunhan. Liu Qingchao said. Wan Chunhan, the head of the One Mansion, is called Master Wan in Yangcheng. His strength and status can be said to be the best in Yangcheng. Even the 4 great families in Jiangnan need to give him some face. Killing him will cost a lot. Su Chen said calmly, while looking at Liu Qingchao. 1/3 of the brothel in the One Mansion can be given to the Qinglan Club. Liu Qingchao said. Miss Liu, you are trying to get something for nothing. I think you are making a wrong decision. If that's the case, there is no need for us to continue the discussion. Su Chen said coldly. Young Master Su, 1/3 of the brothel in the One family, isn't it okay to kill Wan Chunhan? Liu Qingchao moved her body slightly, outlining her body more perfectly, with a special charm in her eyes. I, the Qinglan Club, do business. Collect the money first. Bring 1/3 of the deed to us, and we, the Qinglan Club, will take action. Su Chen looked at Liu Qingchao and said. Kill Wan Chunhan, and you can get the deed. Doesn't young Master Su have confidence in the Qinglan Club? Liu Qingchao approached Su Chen slightly. A body fragrance filled the air. Smelling this body fragrance, a cold light flashed in the depths of Su Chen's eyes. This body fragrance carried a charm poison. For Su Chen, who is proficient in poison, this little poison is nothing. Moreover, even if Su Chen does not understand poison, he now has a strong inner energy, and his physical strength and blood are unparalleled, so this charm poison cannot affect him. However, Su Chen still stretched out his hand to grasp the other party's slender body. Liu Qingchao showed joy in the depths of his eyes, thinking of waiting for Su Chen to agree. But he heard a sentence, you have a good figure, but this is still not enough. While Su Chen was talking, his palm was still clenched. If this is just a talk, I feel that there is no need for us to continue. After all, even if I hook up with you, I can't break the rules of my Qinglan Club. If you want to kill Wan Chunhan, just come with enough silver. Su Chen loosened his palm and slowly left. After Su Chen left, Liu Qingchao stamped her feet fiercely. You took advantage of me and left like that. If I had the money, I would have to see you alone. You are not a man. I put it in front of you, and you won't eat it. Her eyes were filled with resentment. At this time, a girl in purple came out. Sister, what should we do now? Wan Chunhan has become suspicious and is sending people to investigate you. I'm afraid he will find out your identity soon. Once your identity is found, I'm afraid Wan Chunhan will take action against you immediately. Or we should leave Yangcheng first, said the purple-clothed girl. No, I have been planning for so long and sacrificed so much. If I can't kill Wan Chunhan, I might as well die. Since this road is not feasible, then we will advance the plan to distract him. I don't have the money to ask the Qinglan Society to kill Wan Chunhan, so I will kill his son first. When Liu Qingchao spoke, her eyes were full of hatred. Sister, I just got a piece of news. Maybe this news can make Su Chen help us. What news? It's the news that Qinglan Society killed Huo Xianyin, which was released by Li Guhan. The purple-clothed girl said. You said that the news was released by Li Guhan. Why did he do this? I don't know about this. I guess he was thinking about the chaos in Luoyang County. After the banquet, help me make an appointment with Su Chen again. Just use this news as a guide. Liu Qingchao said. At this time, in a remote house, Yuan Suan pushed open the door of the courtyard. When he pushed open the door, in the courtyard, a figure walked out of the room. Yuan Suan? Seeing the person who pushed the door in, the figure's expression changed slightly. Deputy Palace Master Lin, you are good at doing things. Our young master came to ask me to say hello. Yuan Suan said calmly. You are here to kill me, but you can't kill me. Lin Ziaoshan looked at Yuan Suan and said. But when his voice fell, a terrifying sword energy locked him. His heart couldn't help but feel cold. It was not me who leaked this matter. It was Yama Palace Master and Bei Mochen who leaked the news to the people behind them. The people behind them leaked it. Lin Ziaoshan said. He said this because he wanted to use the Qinglan Society to investigate the people behind Bei Mochen and others. He really wanted to know who was behind them. I hope what you said is right, otherwise, you will become a corpse. In that case, Sima Changhan will have one less helper, and you won't be able to see Zhao Lixu's plan. After saying that, Yuan Suan flashed and turned into a black shadow, disappearing in front of him. He didn't even give Lin Ziaoshan a chance to ask. There will be 2 more updates around 6 o'clock in the evening. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like, Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.